Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast. Welcome to the Simpsons Index HD Wasteland Part 2.
The tuning.
Yes. So, if you hadn't listened to last week's episode, go back and do that because I set up everything and explain what we're doing then, and I don't know that this part will be satisfying to listen on its own without it. So,
What about all those people who just listen to part 2s of things?
monsters.
You know?
They only watched Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 2?
Yeah.
The Great Gatsby Part 2.
Yeah.
Wow, poor them. They didn't even see the one that was slightly less than worse.
I only ever seen Attack of the Clones, Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
And
The Last Jedi.
And Last Jedi, that's it.
Oh, and Temple of Doom.
Just Temple of Doom, nothing else. Although, to be fair, Godfather Part 2 and nothing else.
Yeah.
That's
Back
pretty
to the
good.
Future Part 2. Not
Jaws,
Yeah.
The Revenge.
Oh, gross.
bad. Toy Story 2.
The Nutty Professor 2, the clumps.
The Clumpeting.
Electric Clumpaloo.
Anyway, a long way of us saying that, yeah, I'm not setting up the pre-roll on this one. Just go back and check out part 1. So we just watched season 27, episode 3, Puffless. First released in October of 2015. It was directed by Rob Oliver, written by J. Stewart Burns. In this episode, Patty and Selma decide it's time to quit smoking, so we follow their struggle with that. And also, Maggie has a fucking Disney adventure with a
Yeah.
bunch of animals that are rescuing their possum friend from Cletus's house. Guys, what did you think?
A lot of mixed feelings on this one. For most part, it's just stuff that happens.
Right.
Doesn't really have a lot of ups or downs. It's a very straight road through mediocrity for the most part.
Yeah, I buy that.
I think I'm a little bit delirious because I'm like, okay, all right, cool. Whereas I'd be usually going like, what the fuck kind of Simpsons episode is this? They're breaking format, that's fine. But yeah, it's very strange for them to like do a style parody of a... I was thinking Disney, but I was thinking more like Warner Brothers-esque as well, a lot of it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just very strange how, and I'll say this as a part of the story that stood out to me, is this whole Maggie Sob plot and how every time they shift to her, the whole palette gets a little fuzzier. There's extra shading on everything. And it is a stylistic departure. And, you know, it's one of these mostly non-spoken, it's mostly a mute sort of story. And I don't understand why they mixed it in with this episode that also had nothing really to do with it.
But where else are you going to put it, I guess, is my question.
Well, that's the extra curious thing, because they had the Maggie Simpson short, The Longest Daycare, which I adore. I can't wait to review that one for this podcast. It is a very charming short. And I think if you stripped the rest of the episode away besides the Maggie stuff, you would have a charming short.
Oh, you could do this in a vignettes one. Like,
Yeah, again, it's like the fucking Sky Police thing from last week. It's 5 minutes ago for us.
time passes differently in the Wasteland.
Yes. Why?
A minute is but a day.
Well, it's been an entire week for everyone at home. For us, this has only just happened.
Yeah. How about you, BT? What's a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
It's a confusing little bit where both Grandpa and Mr. Burns are still trying to win over Mrs. Bouvier.
Yeah.
Fucking
And
hated
it
this.
feels like a weird resurrection of that, but only to bring in Yo-Yo Ma effectively. And that's it. I mean, to be fair, Yo-Yo Ma got some decent, licks in, lines and little gags. Your father died of lung cancer. Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really all he got to do.
Oh, and then when Bart sort of tries to use his cello as a bow and arrow, that was kind of funny.
And also him playing Bach is lovely. So, that's just Yo-Yo himself.
But yeah, you're right. Just to rehash this Grandpa versus Mr. Burns thing, and all it amounts to is Mr. Burns going, oh, I just want her if you want her.
Yeah.
No, he said, I'm not interested. I just don't want you to have her.
Yeah.
Just
Although
like, what a dick move, but then you expect that from him.
I do like Grandpa does get a decent line of, oh, it's the one thing I can't beat, competition. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, not bad. And again, Yo-Yo Ma's performance in this episode was pretty good, But Jordan's Anal Corner. He's reading a yo-yo diet book, which I get, yo-yo pun, but it's his book.
Yeah.
Why is he reading his own book?
He ghost wrote it, so he wants to see what they actually said.
Fair enough. Jordan, what's a moment from this episode stands out to you?
The couch gag is like real.
Yeah, that was weird.
The couch gag is, they're all cars, and then Maggie's a monster truck and murders them all by, like, crushing them all.
Yeah, but then in the episode, they're like, oh, where's Selma going to sleep? On the couch. But that's
Patty.
where we do our couch Patty, whatever,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. That's where we do our... I like the line, but that's where we do our couch gags. But then it cuts to it, and the cars are still sitting there. And it's like, what is real?
Yeah, they should have just left it as a line. Or, I don't know, maybe I would have liked it more if there was a different couch gag, because it was a shitty couch gag too.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
They can't all be winners.
Play count. How many times have you guys seen this episode before tonight?
Once, possibly twice. I don't pay too much attention to my own life.
I actually know where you've seen it before.
Yep.
It was on a plane when we were going to America.
That's right.
It was this, and it was Waiting for Duff Man.
Was too. Memories.
And I remember, sitting next to you on the plane, watching your face contort as this thing plays out. Because it is bizarre how it just keeps flipping with this Maggie story.
Yeah. I really think my biggest thing on the Maggie story is it should have just never had subtitles. Done it all in silence and just music.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything you would have lost from that. And you can get from facial animation and gesturing what's going on. You don't need it. And I think there was no... If you're going to do a heavy style shift, make it a heavy style shift. Don't go halfway and throw in the subtitles.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. There's nothing really added by them being able to communicate with Maggie, and if it was left to visual cues and all that, it would have lent in stylistically more. How many times have you seen this before tonight, Jordan?
Ling, which is 0 in Chinese.
Oh.
There we go. Yeah, I think they obviously felt like they needed to do the Spider-Pig song
Fuck you.
in the subtitles. I think they could have learnt from silent movies.
Well, they even had Spider-Pig in the music and have him as a visual reference, sure, but the fact that they effectively screech to a halt and go, it's Spider-Pig, and like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, stylistically, these Maggie bits are beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, the music is all that bum bum da 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 dun dun da da, and like, they do a lot of the storytelling with the flouncy bouncy music.
Yeah, we learn that the possum and Maggie don't get along, but then they find common ground, become friends simply through the action of the, there's no words or subtitles or anything.
Yeah. The possum's kind of coy and shy, and then reluctantly takes the acorn or whatever with its tail, and then just gradually warms to Maggie. Yeah.
I told you she was cool.
Yeah, kind of like that subtitle joke. But the Spider-Pig thing, they could have just incorporated the Spider-Pig theme, which is the Spider-Man theme, which... Fuck, at the time I remember the Simpsons movie, that being funny, but the more they drag this out, the more I think it's fucking pathetic.
It's really not funny anymore. It was like, the first time in the Simpsons movie. But then
it was the only thing that really clicked in that movie as a quote.
Any time after that, I'm like, this is dumb. Stop bringing it back.
To give people a concept of how old this joke is, one of the first Facebook things I saw was, if I get 10,000 likes, my wife will let me call my baby Spider-Pig.
Oh, wow.
That's how old this fucking thing is.
God.
It almost predates Facebook.
And the other thing is, like, in the movie, I never liked the Spider-Pig Redux music. The only bit that I thought was funny was the Homer walking him on the ceiling, doing his little Homer song. But, at just one point, you're just doing a bad cover of the Spider-Man song.
It was like a chorale version as well that they used in this episode.
Chorale?
Like a choral.
Oh,
It was a choir.
choral.
Coral.
Choral.
Yeah, choral, whatever. Yeah, Cal.
Like Lenny and Coral.
Yeah.
No, mate, it's Carl.
Cal?
Right, sorry. Yeah, you're right. It was the same music from when Homer's having his hallucination in the Simpsons movie.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Anyway.
Yeah, and every time they drag out Spider-Pig, it's just so hackneyed. So speaking of which, how about the wackiness of this episode?
Well, you have the whole animal invasion of Cletus's home, but
Yeah.
again, stylistically that fits with that. So
I think
fine.
that's okay. Marge's mum just has a assisted suicide kit just sitting
around,
sitting on the coffee table.
Her house also burns down.
I love that as a smash cut, though. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, from Patty and Selma piling all their cigarettes into a bowl and setting it ablaze to just the whole house is gone.
Yeah. I kind of wish that they didn't sort of write off Marge's mum in that from then on, because, we don't see her again for the rest of the story.
Yeah, and especially when you get to the conclusion of this one where it's like, oh, well, let's smoke again. Okay. It should have been like, I don't know. It might have even worked to say you should enjoy your lives, and if you enjoy smoking, do that. It's as I don't want that to be the message, but I guess I want that to be the message to Patty and Selma.
Well, it's got to reset to 0, but I think this is wacky as well. And the one unexplored part of this episode is Selma's adopted child.
Yeah.
That she is only there at Jacqueline Bouvier's house. She doesn't reappear for the rest of the episode. And the whole quitting smoking thing could absolutely be about this child who is living in an apartment, a small fucking area where her mum and auntie are just constantly smoking.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it really makes more sense that was the trigger for the change rather than just, oh, by the way, your father, who none of you have ever asked about how he died of lung cancer.
Which I kind of like it as an explanation, but it also felt like a cop-out.
Oh, yeah, because she said, it just wasn't the kind of thing you talked about at the time. And I'm like, no, that was if he went and got, like, someone else pregnant and married them and walked away and ran away. Like, you'd be, like, too embarrassed. You'd say, like, oh, they died somewhere. But if they just got lung cancer, that's not, like, embarrassing. That's just like, oh, that's horrifying. I'm sorry.
Yeah, also, how old were they when he died? Because Marge was at least 4 or 5 when he was an air hostess.
Yep, Stewart,
thank you.
He was alive when Marge went to her graduating, her final dance prom.
Yeah, so how the fuck did they not know he got lung cancer? It's not exactly quick.
They moved out and then, God, who knows?
But there was another joke in amongst this which I liked, which was Patty and Selma going, oh, well, why didn't you tell us, Mum? You know, we let us smoke this whole time. And she goes, I thought you looked cool.
I did like that.
That was all right. Other wackiness, Homer has that thought balloon where they're really fat, and then it pops, and Santa's little Hopper can see it and eats it.
Eats the balloon. They've had a few jokes about the reality of thought balloons before, so I'm going to tie that in with all those.
This wasn't a good one,
This wasn't a great one, no. But
no one outfats me.
That bit was I could have handled the thought balloon popping. The Homer, that's right, I'm super fat now. It's like, no, why? No, stupid.
It was.
The bleach eyes, pretty wacky.
Fucking hell.
Yeah,
hated it.
Went on and
stupid because you've already seen it. It's in your brain.
Yeah.
Burning your eyes isn't going to do anything.
Well, that they brought it back so much, and that he did it to Bart, and he could go, thank you.
No, it's okay. Yeah,
well, obviously, why do it? Because
much.
obviously it doesn't work. Because oh no, I'm blind. But then he sees to throw it in Bart's eyes, and then Bart sees obviously Patty, and is like, oh, thank you, Dad. So like, why do it? Because it doesn't do anything.
The only bit I liked was when he first bleaches, having that reaction of, oh, that's a bit much for you. Oh, thank God I'm blind.
Yeah.
That was the bit I got the chuckle out of. Everything after that was too much.
But then, he does it again when he's remembering, and he pours it in his ear later. That was fucking crap.
Oh, and because he has the dream of him making out with Patty as well.
It's fucked.
What the hell?
Yeah, they totally allow the audience to believe that actually happened before, like...
You exclaimed out loud.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Yeah.
You've seen this one before.
Well, I took its advice and poured bleach in my ear to forget it, and obviously it worked.
You're not going to find much bleach out here in the Wasteland.
Not in the Wasteland.
We use it to make booze, but not for bleach.
Yeah, look, I think there's something to be said about, not wanting to see a relative of yours naked.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, just at a point, they're just body shaming, and it's fucking crap.
Really crappy. Oh, the cigarette talking was pretty wacky as well. She has a conversation with a lit cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
And she's talking this whole time, oh, I've got nobody to talk to. You've got a fucking daughter!
You can't talk to your children.
You can.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and then at the end, it's like, who knew that 2 grown women, a daughter and a lizard, would stink up the place so much?
Oh, yeah, Jub smoking as well. There's some wackiness.
Yeah, that was... Why? Why did they have him smoking?
The lizard smokes. Well done, Al Jean. How about the heart of this episode? Did you guys feel the bumps?
A little bit for Maggie's story, I think.
Oh, yeah, that was
it was
cute.
very cute. As much as I think they didn't quite handle it properly, it was still cute.
It's in the wrong episode.
Yeah.
They went for a heart moment with Patty and Selma being at odds over this quitting smoking, with Patty quitting and Selma not. But I think that makes the end extra shitty when Patty goes back to it, because by all accounts, she was doing well.
Yeah. They dragged out this whole, but I smell smoke thing. Am I having a stroke? And they just went on.
Yeah.
And you're like, we know the other one is smoking.
Oh, God,
Just get
I was
to it
really
already.
worried because, like, her mouth was, like, fine and you could still smell smoke. I'm like, please, don't do what I think you're about to do. And they didn't, to their credit.
You got to set yourself up, man.
Smoke through other orifices.
I was thinking that's what you were thinking, but I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, I was just really hoping.
No, I was wrong. Go back to vagueness.
I just realized there was
It's
3 other.
Jordan.
Yeah.
You knew where this was going.
Dun, 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 it's Jordan.
It's me.
Yay, another theme song penned by the Simpsons Index.
There's
So many.
3 other wacky things that I just realized. They go on this mission to capture, like, re-get the possum, and they're, like, going over these, like, snowy peaks for some reason.
Again,
Where the hell is that?
unnecessary.
Yep.
This wasn't funny to see a shot of them walking through snow, and we know Cletus's house is at like furthest in the outskirts of Springfield.
Yeah. They were like, don't have any possum, but you do have fingernails, but you see some of them and they're just like putting their whole fingers in their mouth and like chewing, and it made me really
I got
off-putting.
pizza, I got poo.
Yeah. And the last one
And
was...
I am not above a good poo joke, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And friends beyond the binary. But this was not a good poo joke.
No.
Sorry, like friends beyond the binary. It's like Astonishing Tales or something.
I'm actually stealing it from the Sleep With Me podcast. That's how he introduces every episode. Oh, ladies and gentlemen and friends beyond the binary and my patron peeps, welcome to the Sleep With Me podcast.
That guy's adorable.
Oh, fuck. I love Dearest Scooter. I am a proud patron of the Sleep With Me podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're like me and you have a little mild on insomnia, I found his podcast very effective.
The last one was Maggie just killed that baby. Like, she just fed it like pure moonshine and went to sleep.
It
but
has
it is,
so much brain damage.
yeah, it is dead for sure.
Yeah, fuck that joke.
Yep.
Yeah.
Backtracking a little bit before, but yeah, when they were Selma smoking in the hospital, for ages you're thinking, Hibbert, call her up on it. You're not allowed to smoke in a hospital. And he goes, smoke in the stairwell with the odd doctors. Fine joke, but then he lights a cigar.
And wanders off. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you just said why you smoke now. Fuck you.
Yeah, so just to rewind like 40 seconds, the bit where, Maggie feeds the other baby a whole bunch of moonshine is so at odds with everything in that stylistic parody, because it is very clean and G-rated. It's, obviously when he first shows up, he's doing a bit of a drunken hillbilly thing, but he's holding a bottle of syrup. So that kind of makes it okay. And then to put actual alcohol in it really fucks with that. And really,
that's a very good point.
if you're going to do the hard style change, do it. Don't half-ass it.
So ultimately, though, guys, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Well enough, I suppose.
Half of it, kind of. But that
be
Maggie
fair-
thing was, it didn't belong in like a regular episode. It should have been a special
vignette or like longest daycare, its own thing. That would have been cute if it was.
Well, yeah, I'm going to say, like, integrity-wise, it's not like the characters are ever really off. It's just the show as a whole is fucking unfocused and
It just doesn't know what to do with itself. Basically.
doesn't have any sense of moral or... Like, very half-ass the moral at the end, you know. Is this an ending? Fuck it, who cares? So yes or no, would you watch this one again?
If someone told me there was a recut of the Maggie section that fixed up all these problems, I'd watch that. But the main thrust of it, there's not really anything to revisit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't avoid it, but I'm not going for it.
Just put all the Maggie stuff in like a YouTube clip. I might watch that, but the rest, no.
Yeah, look, I think this is so disappointing because Patty and Selma's smoking is something that you need to address these days, as like smoking is very much not in vogue anymore. Like in the 90s, a good portion of people still smoked. So these were...
And you could smoke indoors and...
Well, even then, Patty and Selma have always been introduced as being gross, and the smoking is part of that. So I think that's where they get away from it, is it's not introduced as being cool or interesting or fashionable. It's part of them being disgusting.
Yeah.
So that was my note at the end was like, just don't make smoking okay at the end. Like, don't make it like, oh, but it brought them back together. Like, no, it's still not cool. Like, you could have quit. Like, you can do big changes. Like, we've seen it before.
Yeah, Barney got sober.
Yeah.
And
especially, look, they're in an apartment with a baby. There are so many reasons why they need to stop smoking. And even if the ending was just as simple as let's switch to vaporizers, I think that would have just been slightly more satisfying.
Yeah.
Man, I'm getting angry about this one. Does it belong in the Wasteland?
Yeah, I think it's an odd one. And so I just think about it even more. Have it so they go, okay, we won't give up smoking. We'll just smoke once outside, and that'll be our catch-up time.
Yeah.
And that'll just be us as sisters.
Yeah.
There's something we said.
Like, we do one packet all in one go instead of smoking them all.
Yeah.
I think it's indicative of HD, like, trying to do something new.
But then just not quite landing it.
No.
Yeah, it caught a football beautifully. It's got a great story, potential with Patty and Selma quitting smoking, but yeah, just fumbled at every turn and started playing baseball at a time.
Yeah. Like, the conflict between the two sisters is something interesting. There's not many episodes like that. But yeah, there could have been something fun to do with it, but it just...
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, the Patty and Selma divide. That is a great angle on the story.
And it's just not explored.
Yeah. Guest stars. We had Yo-Yo Ma, as we already mentioned. He was all right. And John Lovitz played the cigarette.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Right.
Whatever.
How about some musical moments from this episode?
The Disney music, Disney style, Warner Brothers style, I don't know what.
Yep.
But the music was very good in that. And it would really fit the kind of the action going on screen.
And
Fully.
Yo-Yo's cello playing.
Yo-Yo's cello.
Yo-Yo's cello.
That's a fun one. Look, we've circled around it a bit. BT, what would you like to change?
have a bit where I can't remember which one's which, but where Selma's all, well, you either love me or you love smoking. And you got to pick because we can't live together if you're going to do that, which I don't care if I'm wrong on which one it is. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So there's a conflict we have there, and just explore that conflict and do something different with the ending. It would be fine to have them actually quit, and then that's something you can have in the background from now on. Or if they don't quit, at least have them reach the agreement to, only smoke once a day with each other as, that's their sister thing they always have together. But there's something to be said about you have a child now, and it's not just about us, and we have to consider something else. So this is, we've talked about it. There's so much more to get from this. Do that.
Jordan, what would you change?
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I think there's some really bad episodes of The Simpsons where they try and be moralistic as well.
Yeah.
Well, this didn't feel preachy, though.
Yeah, no.
Really
that's what I mean. Like, it's a fine line, I think, and like where they do kind of step over that line is sometimes really bad. Yeah, I think it's a strange mishmash because it's two very different, completely tonally different sides to the episode.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really fit. I think you could do, like, it doesn't need to necessarily be a vignette, but have that Maggie thing in like a trilogy of error, where it's like the three stories happening at once or something, with like Maggie's being one of them, and it's like Bart, Lisa, and Maggie's story being the focus of the episode. But yeah, I think you kind of need to split them up. And there's a good story in that A plot. I just don't think they went maybe far enough. That's all.
Yeah, I'm going to fully agree with you. I think if they made a whole episode about this Maggie adventure and went for a total stylistic shift, it might not have been great, but I think it would have at least been brave. See, this one burying it in this half-baked Selma and Patty plot is just, it's so disjointed. Yeah. And it's like Sky Police. Like, it's called Puffless, yet it's Puffless and Maggie's animal adventure.
Yeah. Pretty 50-50 split.
Yeah, and like the last one, it was actually Sky Police plus 21. And to the Selma Patty story, involve Marge more. Make her desperate for her sisters to quit. She doesn't want to see them die young.
No.
Yeah.
She wants her kids to grow up with aunties, They don't have much family anymore, and mum's on death's door. Fucking, let's do our best to keep the family alive for the kids.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're pretty much at the end here, BT. Any other notes?
Yeah, when they're driving the car, Maggie's baby seat says precious cargo, and Grandpa's just says cargo.
I did like that.
That was great, but then the following joke fucked.
I can't remember what it was.
Oh, it was why does she get a juice box? Because she doesn't slip with the straw and hit an artery.
That was so
I
dumb.
want juice. And it's like,
I'll never
give the
have
old
juice.
man some juice.
Yeah.
Lisa does this really condescending thing where she's throwing the ball to Maggie. It's like, oh, I guess you can play ball when you're not a baby. And it's just and then leaves her in the backyard. And it's like,
fucking shuts the door.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
But that just shows you Maggie's cunning.
I get what it was doing. It was just stupid.
It was.
Well, no, because it doesn't make Maggie look cunning. It makes Lisa look neglectful and condescending.
Yes.
This is our second Black Hawk Down reference.
Weird, right?
When a literal Black Hawk was down.
In a joke that I hate liked.
Yeah. Finally was Hoppy, Duffman's bird. Which,
oh, God, I love that.
I love the beginning where she's like meeting all the animals and they're all... and then just, get ready for flavor.
Say hello to fun.
It's so out of nowhere, but it's delightful.
That's what it's
You're just not expecting it. Like, oh, what's a parrot doing there? And then it just imitates Duffman's voice perfectly. Like, oh, my God, I love it. But then I hated the bit at the very, very end. Whoa, I've heard of wanting a cracker, but becoming one. Oh, no. Yeah, a couple of anal corners that burns up shit.
Yes. Never getting away with it.
Explain this to me. Patty was like sucking tea bags because they said like, extra caffeine or something. But caffeine is not nicotine. So is that a thing?
I actually have heard of people sucking tea bags because it just simulates the effect of having something bitter.
Okay.
But it is a really bizarre thing, but I actually kind of liked it as a bit.
Yeah, it was fine. It was just like it confused me for a bit. I'm like, is that a thing that people do? Okay. How did Patty not hear Homer coming into the shower?
It's so obvious as well, the way they set it up. Oh, I wonder who's here. And by the way, he goes, how about a rain check from last night? They still fucked. Marge and Homer, by all accounts, fucked. I liked that joke of when Patty was snoring and Homer and Marge stick each other's fingers in each other's ears. That was cute. It didn't look like from that scene that they did not fool around. So to say to have a rain check, fuck you. Sorry.
Really dumb. I did like the Burns copter outside. Did you notice that his helicopter actually had his face on the front with his nose
really?
sticking out. Yeah,
That's pretty good.
That was pretty cool.
He has a themed copter. That's now that's money.
I hated that joke about his Pontiac GTO.
That
Fucking
went
garbage.
I love my family. Like, you love your Pontiac GTO. He goes, oh, nobody loves a person that much. We don't love it that much because you fucking left it and you didn't bother trying to find it ever again. So shut the fuck up.
If you're going to do a family cutaway gag, at least have a fucking gag. All that happens is it gets munched up by a rototiller, and apparently it's still working.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the radio was still on.
Yeah.
God damn.
So bad.
Couple of things I did like. Let's just try that.
Yeah?
Maggie getting on the Jack in the Box
Yeah.
and like getting ready to launch herself, but only winding
When-
as like Patty is snoring
Yeah.
and like did it,
That was very good, yeah.
did it, did it. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
Very Shawshank Redemption.
when Patty locks the window and like, you know, scares away the possum or whatever, and then the owl comes down and Maggie says, I have no idea what extra large mummy is doing.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was the one subtitle joke that was good, yeah.
And the last one I liked was when Patty looks up the symptoms of having a stroke. Like, have I had a stroke? I didn't catch all of them, but
Yeah.
number 1 and 5, one was worrying that you've had a stroke. And number 5 was inside of brain feels bloody.
I did see one which was like, don't feel too good.
Yeah, it's playing into that whole like WebMD self-diagnosis culture. It's pretty funny.
Oh, and the Dr. Nick bit at the start where it was like, how did he miss all these symptoms? Where it was like, weight gain, feeling tired, tiny feet kicking, baby coming out.
But it also led to a line that I really liked when Marge turns off the TV and Homer's like, do you ever turn on a TV?
Yeah.
Final note time. So the one line of Yo-Yo Ma that I hated, which was, oh, that was rude, and I used to play cello in the subway. He is staring down the barrel of the camera in this one.
Yeah.
It's not his fault.
Nope.
It's the animators.
Very much so. I like the misdirect with Patty and Selma's slides, how, oh, it's a small box of slides. She pulls out a 5 terabyte hard drive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. I want to know how much that would have cost because it's in the shape of like a USB flash drive.
Yeah.
To fit all that in that, she must have paid top dollar.
These are holiday slides. You
Yeah.
don't go lowball on that.
Oh, boy.
Another Molman joke for this episode. Every vehicle is a heavy vehicle for me.
Every vehicle is heavy for anybody.
Yeah.
Weird thing with Disco Stu being obsessed with Selma.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just sort of nothinged that.
Oh, and then they have casual sex later.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's like, I just told you what you wanted to hear. Like, what
Yeah.
a bitch.
Yeah.
And just to finish off my notes, there's 3 bits from the Maggie storyline that I loved, which was the animals taking the porcupine spears
Yeah.
Yeah.
as they're getting
And
ready.
chipmunk walnut helmets.
The way too much subtitle plan of Maggie's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really want to pause and see what it said. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, we often complain about this too much to digest joke, but
That
I
was,
thought,
yeah, there was the bit, yeah.
Yep, and finally, yeah, when the dog gets knocked out, the birds are flying over his head, he knocks out the bird, and then there's dogs flying above his
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, guys, it's time to rank this thing. Yeah, look, guys, I am going to fail this one, actually. I
Ooh.
think there's definitely an argument for a participant, but this episode didn't know what it was doing. The Maggie bit was stylistically awesome, which sort of makes it so disappointing that it just didn't fucking matter to the rest of the story, and it was just mismanaged. It fucked up its morals and principles and just squandered every opportunity it had to be a good episode. BT, what do you reckon?
I'm going to stick on a participant. I just don't feel like there's anything enough here to me to be aggressive or upset about. I feel like I'm going to forget it pretty well. I'll go, oh yeah, that Maggie stuff was cute. What else happened?
Yeah.
So mostly it's just forgettable. I don't think it made any huge missteps. It just was nah. And that's why it's participant, because meh.
Sure. Jordan, finish it off.
Yeah, I can see why you'd give it a failure. Yeah, I can see why you'd give it a participant. I think the 2 parts, maybe they just average out into a participant for me too. It's not so awful, but there is some really like bits I'm like, I did notice that I have like a ton of just wacky little swirls and
Yeah.
it's just silly. And some of it's really annoying, but some of it's kind of cute and I had a laugh. So, it's hard. Participant, let's just go with that.
All right, guys, that'll average out into being a dull participant. This will be joining other such episodes as ones we reviewed last time in Teenage Wasteland, the Blunder Years, where we meet, find out about Waylon Smithers Sr.
I was the fail on that.
You sure were.
It's us, the Simpsons.
Yeah. The Boys of Bummer, where Bart misses the fly ball and the whole town
Oh,
fucking hates him.
man,
I
yeah.
was the failure on that
Yeah.
one. Husbands and Knives, which we reviewed the other week. Very polarizing episode.
Yes.
All right, so is that reputation justified?
Is that reputation justified in the Wasteland?
Dennis Perkins of the AV Club, Mr. Unpredictable, gave this episode a C. So that's actually pretty on par with us with the doll participant.
Yeah.
It's exactly half an episode that seeks to tell a character-based story. That's a steep hill to climb under any circumstances, but especially when trying to make us care about two one-note characters like Patty and Selma. Not that there haven't been interesting affecting Patty and Selma episodes in the past. Honestly, Selma's rejection of her sham marriage to Tori McClure is one of the most improbably heartbreaking endings in Simpsons history.
Way to be on point there. Which one was that?
Dennis Perkins.
Dennis Perkins.
I don't know if you can call Patty and Selma one. Okay. Anyway,
One and a
whatever.
half.
They have 1.5 notes.
2 bits, 1 note.
All right, guys. We are going to our 6th point in the Wasteland. Jesus.
Yes.
My goodness. We've only got 3 episodes left, and
How time hasn't flown.
Do you want to throw the pen at the notebook this time?
Oh yeah. Do you want to go?
oh yeah,
It's
you
fun.
know, let's round out this trilogy of notebook.
Pen three.
You wrote on yours.
I'll get it. I'll get it.
It's just 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. 2. All right. So, here we go. I've been threatening this episode for a very long time. Guys, this episode I was actually meant to do back in the day, Jordan, when we reviewed... what was it? I think it was
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
Simpsons
Mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that episode was so bad that I gave you a better HD era episode because I didn't want to subject you to that much crap.
So nice.
So tonight, we are finally going to be doing this episode, what I consider probably the most awkward episode ever in the Simpsons run. How I Wet Your Mother.
Yes.
We will be back.
Why am I scared?
And we are back, and we just watched our 6th episode for the evening. Oh my god, delirium setting in for me, guys. This was Season 23, Episode 16, How I Wet Your Mother. First released in March of 2012, directed by Lance Kramer, written by Billy Kimball. In this episode, Homer starts wetting the bed, and he originally thinks it's because he's feeling guilty that he threw his co-workers under the bus, but it turns out he's got some fucking repressed issues about his family that they discover by doing the whole fucking Inception dream within a dream within a dream within a dream.
Oh, is that what it was parodying?
Yeah, I thought it was...
Donald Duck.
I thought it was Overboard.
Guys, what'd you think?
You prepared me something so much worse.
Yeah.
I gotta say, in my memory, the first act actually took up so much more of it. But in my defense, the Inception parody is so toothless that it doesn't actually feel like much of the episode. But yeah.
I feel like they don't really try and do anything different from the movie.
No.
Yeah, and
when
that's
they're doing
really
it.
the biggest problem,
Yeah,
I think.
it's-
is
But yeah, not to say that the opening wasn't cringy.
there's still some cringe to be had, but it just wasn't the garbage fire I was expecting.
Yeah.
So. Still, at about halfway through, I'm like, okay, that's it. You can take me now, madness. Come on, right here.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I thought it was going to be a lot worse. I thought it was going to be a choice.
Yeah, when we heard Homer in diapers, I thought it was going to be, thing of course, it's just easier. And that was going to be the gross out factor.
Now I don't need to get up on those Saturday cold mornings. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I kind of almost wish they stuck with the whole fucking diaper thing because, yeah, it was just another...
Yeah, the Inception parody is just, like you said, so toothless, and it feels like it should be in a Treehouse of Horror. It doesn't feel like it belongs in a real episode.
Yeah, I just thought about that. It's, Dream Machines are in the Simpsons canon now.
Yeah, and they don't really do anything with it. It's just they shoehorn in something about Homer's family that wasn't ever really set up.
No, and there's a lot of problems here.
Oh, I was in a boat with Bart, and that made me pee myself every night. Duh.
Yeah, he's never been fishing before.
And I've got to say, that's the moment from the storyline that stands out to me is just... And it's also what stands out to me about Inception, which, look, I think it's an okay movie.
Yeah.
I think it's better if you don't take it seriously because it is a movie of a lot of ultra convenient...
Yeah, if you enjoy the ride, you'll enjoy it a lot.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
And, like, the tension is like, oh, yeah. And it's pretty cool. Like, the first time you see it, it was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. But then everyone, like, copied it.
Yeah.
Copied that style or did parodies of it. And it's like... okay,
and
I'm bored of
everyone
it
stopped
now.
with the...
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do any Inception music in this
They
one.
did have the like Hans Zimmer style music while they were skiing and everything, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we see what you're doing, we get it.
Which is interesting because now Hans Zimmer does write music for The Simpsons now that...
yeah.
Because, it's his company. It might not be him directly, but
I doubt it would be.
ever since Alf Clawson was out. So how about you, Jordan? What is a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
Yeah, it feels like it's just like a story in two halves.
Yeah.
As much as I'd hate to say it, I'd rather do an episode on the first half than the second half, because the second half was so, like, nothing.
Yeah.
they just wanted an excuse to kind of do some weird, cool things, and maybe like Glenn Close was in town to like, oh, let's do a Mona thing.
That's it.
They were trying to make it Simpsonized and doing the things, but it's just like you're not doing anything new because these are all the plot and the steps taken in Inception. Like, at least do something different. Like, don't make it so obvious.
Well, no, and that's it. And just the whole, the dream within a dream slows down thing, like, it is part of the ultra convenience of Inception.
Yeah.
And they just did that and they didn't do anything with it. And, like, I don't quite really remember Inception, but the whole thing is they're in danger, so they go into another dream so that they can buy themselves more time. Like, don't they solve their problems each of the way back up before they get back to the real world?
Yeah, well, what they do is essentially, like, have the kick.
Yeah.
They need a kick in each to, like, wake up the people in the dream lower down. Also, you need someone to stay behind in each of the layers to, like, get
wake
it
them
ready.
up effectively. And the reason they're going down so many layers is they need to get it, like, the subconscious. They're not, I don't think that they're not buying time. That was always the plan, to go deeper and deeper. Because they need to get, like, into, like, deep down subconscious.
Okay, well, at least The Simpsons did that. But, when you look at all the other stylistic parodies, especially I want to point out Rick and Morty and South Park for doing superior Inception parodies. How about you, BT? What's a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
There's a bit, and it's only, like, the second time they go deeper, is they go into the old animation style of, like, the Tracy Ullman. Almost. There are bits where it's a little bit between old and new animation styles.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be as deep as they were going to go, that would be the last step down, because that's, like, this is their origin. But they didn't, and we kept going from there, and it felt very weird to go to that meta reference without it being the...
Like an end point?
Yeah.
I thought, like, maybe in the next one down it was going to be like one of those... Oh, God, who's that guy that does the really bizarre animations that did one of the, like, Simpsons season 2701, like, with the time machine?
Oh, Don Hertzfeld.
Don Hertzfeld. I thought it was going to be, like, some bizarre, like, surrealist thing if they kept going down, but then it reverted back to normal animation style. I'm like, well, what was the point of it?
Yeah, exactly. There was no reference to it. That's why I thought that was going to be as deep as they were going to go. This is the core of their subconscious. It's the Simpsons as they originally were. And
that should have been the Limbo verse for real.
And look, I'll pay it because stylistically they did some really cool choices with the old version of The Simpsons, but also they were just kind of doing it.
Yeah, there was no point. There was no structure. It wasn't based around an old episode, I don't think. It was just,
I want bologna. Get me my bologna. And then the fight cloud, and then the room fills up with fish. I mean, I know it's meant to be a bit surreal. And
I love surrealism, and this just wasn't it. It was just, and then there were fish.
Yeah. I will say the one joke that I liked that they did with that was Lisa's, like, Shakespeare dream, how immediately Bart's like, no.
It was also kind of weird because were we then in Lisa's dream, and then it's like, so were we bouncing between different people?
Oh,
and
that's
then
a good point.
how do we then end up in Homer again? It was,
I think it's whoever they attach it to first or something.
But there was no way to see that before they basically announced it.
No.
And that's a lot of my problem with this episode, is that its internal logic is pretty fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Play count. How many times have you seen this episode?
Oh, just tonight.
I had not seen it before. Null in German.
I was about to say, you've had a thing all night.
Yeah, I've seen this once before, and I remember just fucking hating it. Like I'd even forgot the Inception parody was part of it.
Yeah.
Like, the opening bit is pretty cringy. And especially, like, I have a problem with the logic of Homer and Marge going to make love and is in the diaper. Like, why did he have the diaper on if he knew he was about to have sex?
Yeah,
that was weird. It's like, it's not happening randomly. It's only happening when he sleeps. So
yeah.
I guess they were getting ready for bed.
If they were in bed and, like, Marge moves over and then she's suddenly, the mood's gone cold because of the diaper. Like, I get that.
Yeah. Even then, I kind of felt bad for Homer there because he's it's just a complete shutdown for Marge. Okay, fair enough. But at the same time, it's like, well, it's not like this is a problem he's having.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a shame that she's repelled by something that's a problem. Like,
yeah, but I mean, he doesn't really do her any favors
no,
by
he
doing
doesn't.
the fucking.
He tries
the
to do like a
diaper dance.
sexy baby thing, and that definitely ruins it.
Yeah,
but,
when they say, like, oh, it's like Cupid, and he's smoking hot. I'm like, no.
No.
Stop right there.
Yeah. To be fair, Cupid is not always a cherub.
Well, no, he's not a cherub at all.
But
He's a
no.
puto.
But then they even make reference to him being a cherub. So
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. A cherub is actually the one with like the 4 faces and all the wings and all the
yeah,
arms.
like the biblical cherub.
Yeah,
not the cutesy cherub.
Yeah. What we think is a cherub is actually a putto, like Putto, which is Italian for like a fat baby
The
kind
fat
of
cute
things.
baby
Yeah.
type.
Ah.
A cherub is actually horrifying if you read the description of
if
what
you
they're supposed to
if
look
you read
like.
the biblical text of it. But then Cupid in myth is actually like a grown man. Yeah, anyway.
I use my putto when I go golfo.
Hey.
So play count. How many times have I already done this question?
Yes.
How about some of the wackiness of this episode?
Normal Stu just happens to be walking around in the middle of the night.
There were so many better jokes to make from that. Normal Stu likes khakis and, I don't know, beige.
Yeah.
Like, what are some normal things that
Meat
people
and
like?
3 veg.
Decaffeinated coffee.
Ew. We practiced that beforehand. No.
What about normal Stu can relate to you?
Mm.
You know.
Or normal Stu doesn't like rhyming.
Normal Stu likes Matchbox 20.
Yes. Because if there's one thing I know about white people,
They love Matchbox 20 and they are terrified of curses. It's so true.
Wacky. You want to talk about Wacky? You want to talk about Bart dancing for about 15 seconds while plummeting to their deaths?
yeah, I was flipping off the TV at this
You
moment.
really were.
Yeah, we went, oh, it's going. It's still going.
Oh, let's not forget Smithers has a portal gun. So when he accesses the office supply bit, and then these 2 droids show up, I'm like, oh, they kind of look like portal droids. And then he zaps them away with a portal gun. I was like,
It was legit a Portal reference.
Yeah, because
Oh,
they
that's-
look like the, are you there? Those, like,
Yeah.
the little turret
Target
guns.
lost.
Yeah.
I've only played like the first couple of levels of Portal 2.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably wouldn't have run into them then. But I want to know where he's, like, zaps them to.
I know.
I
that's
wonder
a
where
good
his other portal is.
question. Yeah. But I did like the idea that
Trapdoor.
the office supply cupboard is that well guarded.
Yeah. Well, I actually thought that was a fun way to get into the episode of, the rod once again holding open the door. And I even didn't mind Carl was like, oh, I better fix this. And then Homer was like, oh, opportunity.
And even
Yeah.
then when he's doing this, he does the dive, but he doesn't quite make it. He flops on his belly, starts wriggling towards it.
Yeah. And that head squish. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, the head squish was too much, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I kind of liked it, but maybe it's because now I'm desensitized from Sky Police when, his head literally
it's-
gets
Why
crossed.
don't you put my head in a vice?
Yeah. Oof, oof.
Does Mr. Burns say who can open this vial of Mother Wolf serum?
That's exactly what he says.
Mother Wolf placenta.
Placenta.
Not
Worse.
serious.
Okay.
There's a joke I like pretty well, which is Frank gets hurled through the sky and lands. He goes, oh, what happened to you? Oh, I tried to break through the New York Times paywall.
Yeah.
I think we've all had that thing where you're like reading it. It's like, well, you've only got 2 more free articles. You're like, not happening.
Is that why the cops are after Frank later
I
in the
have
episode?
no idea.
I was trying
Yeah,
to
that
figure out
doesn't
why
s-
they
they-
burst in with guns.
They did have a bit where they say hands in the air and they mentioned Dr. Kevorkian, so maybe they think it's a suicide machine.
Oh, did they?
But
I didn't hear the Dr.
It was
Vulcan
very,
bit, but yeah.
it was like paraphrased, like
It was shit. And they also did
Yeah.
the very obvious, the slow motion fight is
Yeah.
actually they're just being slow. It was fuck you.
Yeah.
They were so wholly unoriginal. And Mother Wolf placenta.
Yeah.
a bit of whack I did like, which is when they're having Homer's throwing the I'm sorry picnic, and there's this
Oh,
woman
yeah.
who's like, this is probably the best I'm sorry picnic Homer's ever threw, and he's like, who the hell are you?
yeah. No, that was pretty good. I liked the picnic and like how everyone was like, "Oh, thank you for giving us all this stuff for free." And he was like, "For free?" Checked his list. It's like,
Ask them to chip in.
Yeah.
Number 2. Yeah.
I thought that was a
good.
great idea.
Oh, wacky. Now make sure you hit the pinata version of me and not the real thing.
And he's got a beating pinata heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like spurting little pinata blood.
So another bit of wackiness that I really hated was Mr. Burns stopping Lenny's car with the accordion post-its.
Yeah.
Okay, one, it's the recurring joke that Mr. Burns isn't strong enough to do any of that shit. And second of all, Lenny is stealing his bear that's in his office. So now
Yep.
that we've gone beyond the supply
cupboard.
closet,
Unless he's got an extra one in the supply. No.
no, it's once again the internal logic is
I
just
mean,
fucked.
Mr. Burns isn't strong enough to open a jar of wolf placenta.
Thank you.
How could he possibly stop a car?
And a lot of the wackiness of this episode is in these dream sequences. Do you want to just let's rattle through just a few of those just quickly? Anything that
Sure.
stood out for you from this?
Like death is not really death, but there's another death.
There's
Yeah.
a death for
is,
death.
That death is afraid of. But then, like, when you find out later that it was actually Mona, it's like, okay, well, why was she pretending to be death at all?
Meh.
Yeah.
Well, it is a dream. It's not meant to make entire sense. I do like the bit where Marge is like, maybe what's in that coffin will give us an idea of what's causing your tinkle problem. And then Death is like, whoa, you wet the bed. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, great. Now Death knows.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's choosing to stay on the things that we liked. I like in Homer's Fantasy Quickie Mart how you get change in bacon.
Yeah.
That's something I wish we had in the real world.
Something that was kind of wacky but creepy with all the Moes, like all
Yeah.
the Moes bars. And like, I can't remember what he said, but it was all in unison and it would creep me out. I'd be like, no.
Too many
Only
Moes.
one Mo. Only
Yeah.
one Mo. Thank you.
And there was a pointless line as well. You know what's good for getting moles out of your gears is white vinegar.
oh.
Fuck, did you write that yourself, Billy Kimball?
Yeah.
Oh, and Ian Max Tone Graham. He also penned this episode.
Mm.
You needed 2 people for this one. And
Old IMT.
Gee, Ian Max Tone Tayum.
Yes. Shut up. Wasteland Madness.
Wasteland Madness.
Oh, it's a MiG-16. Choo! You know, like the plane in like Top Gun. Never mind. All right. Flanders like getting chopped up by a giant mower.
Yeah, that was creepy.
That was. It's like, oh, where is my god now? Like,
Halloween,
this joke.
Halloween episode. Halloween
Yep.
episode.
And also in this universe, mothers want you to drunk drive. And I'm
Yeah.
like, they have this weird thing in The Simpsons that they've continued on seemingly to this day, where they want to excuse drunk driving. There's so many things where it's like, oh, it's cool to do this. And I really hate it. It
Yeah.
really pisses
Because
me
before
off.
the joke was Homer thought it was okay, and it's illustrating his being irresponsible, and it's slowly morphed over time for being the butt of a joke to being something they seem to almost be supporting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really creepy. And like some of the signs where it's like, get your driver drunked up or something. And then there's another one that said, my other car is wrapped around a tree. And I'm like, that's really morbid and really gross. Please
Yeah.
don't keep making jokes about this.
The wacky bit of dream sequence I really didn't like, which is when they're in the final cinema and Mona Simpson is showing them why Homer wets the bed and goes, change the role, Cletus. And Cletus is like, change
Yeah.
the film reel, Cletus. Kiss me, Cletus. It's like, wait. So in Homer's dream, his mother is making out with Cletus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they got nothing else to do. I don't know, when she's the boss lady, that's what he calls her. Yeah, it's really weird.
Again, it's just this modern Simpsons overvaluing the strength of their characters that were once hits. This
Yeah.
isn't why we found Cletus funny in the old days.
No.
No, and it's not what we liked about Mona. It's kind of just sad. Let the character die.
Oh,
Yeah.
fucking... That, I was just about to say, because it's like one of these things with Lisa being a vegetarian, how they keep doing these things where they're trying to get around it.
Yeah.
I think this is like the 3rd time since Mona's supposed death in season 19 that we've returned back to her.
Yeah. God, and one of them wasn't even worth it. With
None
that-
of this isn't worth it.
No, but like the fireworks one was even worse,
Ugh.
where it's like 2 lines and it's like, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, let's go fly a coot as well. That was...
Yeah. Kind of wacky because it really doesn't fit the character. Abe, in his memory, is like really apologetic and kind of, oh, so I heard you and Mummy arguing last night. He's like, oh, no, it was the TV.
Wasn't that meant to be a flashback to something real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would have thought Abe would have been, quit your whining. You probably didn't hear nothing. Like, you know, he's always been kind of really belligerent.
Your mother had some crazy ideas about going to college or something like that.
Yeah, to like-
He's not going to sugarcoat it.
It just seemed out of character for him, where he
Yeah.
was like, and they paddle home, he would have been like, oh boy, when I get you home, you're going to get such a beating.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
he would have blamed Homer more.
Yeah.
And that's why Homer assumed that not catching a fish was what led to them splitting up.
Oh, and that would have,
Yeah.
played into his anxiety perfectly. Fuck.
Yeah, because, I mean, they don't catch a fish, and then 3 weeks later they break up, and Homer, for some reason, connects the two.
Yeah.
And I feel like if Abe had laid on him, which he would have been like, kid, you're good for nothing. I was about to catch fish, and you ruined it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and now there's going to be nothing. Your mother's going to be so disappointed. That would have been so much heavier.
Fuck.
That's
yeah.
what I thought for sure was happening, and then it didn't.
Didn't lean into it at all. How about the heart?
Hmm?
Now, I'm just, listening to the tumbleweeds and the giant mutant crickets.
It's tumbleweeds of crickets.
Well, they're riding them. They've become mobile. The crickets are mobile. Flee!
Yeah, the heart was so manufactured and the internal logic did not back up the heart. I don't know
Yeah,
if there's much
no.
more to say.
Yeah,
No.
and I think it's a real fuck up as well because, you know, plenty of kids do blame themselves for their parents' divorce or
Absolutely.
wonder deep down, were they responsible? And to get so close to that, but to miss the mark so heavily as well is just like, did you guys think about this at all?
Well, yeah, and they have a bit of that with Homer, like, oh, it's my childhood failing, and that really wasn't backed up by anything.
Yeah. Well, the lame part is when Mona's showing, oh, but here's what you missed. They have a bit where Abe's like, oh, well, we had a bit too much of adventure. And then Mona's like, oh, don't worry, you brought Homer home. That's all that matters to me. And at first I was like, well, Homer wasn't awake for that. I'm like, okay, fine. Maybe he heard the words and they were in his subconscious. But then the answer is in his subconscious next to the problem. So it was already in there.
Yeah.
Like, you have to remember, this is all meant to be within Homer's mind. So he already had the solution in his mind. It was, it just doesn't make sense. If he remembered that, it doesn't work.
No. So ultimately, though, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Felt like a Treehouse of Horror, maybe, but seeing as it wasn't a Treehouse of Horror, no.
And only the last segment, the Inception bit, and it wouldn't even be a good Treehouse of Horror because it's whatever. It's just their normal stylistic parody that they seem to do lately.
So yes or no, would you watch this one again?
No.
No. Does it belong in the Wasteland?
Oh my, yes.
Yeah, just some really crappy concepts and some lazy writing.
Yeah, this is as Wasteland as it gets.
Yeah, when the crickets form their little city, they'll watch this one.
So what would you like to change, Beej?
Just give that... Actually, no, scrap the entire Inception thing. It doesn't work at all. I didn't like anything from it. Yeah, so then scrap that all the way back to Homer bedwetting, and maybe we can troll through some psychological stuff there, or at least tighten up the Inception bit if you have to do it. But there's just so much to fix here. It's nearly an entire teardown. In fact, fuck it, tear it all down. Let's start over.
How about you, Jordan?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Maybe you could have the first half and like go into like maybe a Homer going to therapy or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever done like a proper psych visit.
You know what? I'd actually like them to do a My Name is Earl parody instead of Inception. He goes into therapy for his bedwetting, and he finds out that his guilt from this was actually the straw that broke the camel's back in a way, that he's actually got a lot of repressed guilt over shitty things that he's done to people.
And now he has to go around men. Yeah.
Yeah. My name is Homer.
Except
Damn.
My Name is Earl wasn't a huge cultural touchstone in 2012.
It
was
really
it?
should have been. I fucking loved that show.
Yeah. No, but what I mean is like Inception was huge at that point
Yeah.
in time. Said like, well, we need to do something with Inception in it.
Yeah, but there's been so many things they've parodied that haven't been huge hits.
No.
It was something that no one was asking for, and they didn't do anything original with the material. I mean, quite frankly, Rick and Morty didn't either, but that was just a fun series of events.
Yeah, at least they stuck to the rules a little bit more, I feel.
Yeah. The music, I didn't have any other...
There's a song at the end in the credits. Is that Glenn Close and someone singing?
Sounded like David Byrne, who he was in this episode. Sorry, I forgot. But yeah, it was a song.
Yep.
It was something about dreams.
Yeah.
Look, if it actually came after an emotion moment, it may have had some weight. But so yeah, that was the guest stars of the episode as well: Glenn Close and David Byrne. BT, any other notes?
Indeed. Zootroy returns. He's only there as a visual, but I like to see he's still employed.
That's right, but he did that bit where he broke the glass. I wasn't that big a fan of that.
No, but it's the character model alone was always happy to see.
Yep.
Someone yells out, "You're garbage made flesh!" That was funny.
Yeah, that was, I think that was Carl.
Yeah. At first, I was like, why are they taking the kids on this Inception thing? And then, like, Frank's just like, what am I, a babysitter? I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
fair enough.
that was fine.
Yeah, admittedly, they only said Maggie, not the kids.
Yeah.
They could have covered their bases with that one.
Yeah, totally.
And my last note is a really bad one at the very end where it's like, okay, we're going to spin this top, and if it falls down, it means we're in reality, but if it spins forever, it means we're dreaming. Spin, oh, it's still spinning. Let's go ride naked bikes. Like, why?
You've already gotten rid of the Inception machine. You've already woken up. You've already solved the problem.
They give it 4 seconds of not even that, of spinning this top. And then why is Marge so stupid to think that she's also in a dream? It's like, oh, let's go.
Also, they never introduced that as like a totem in the first place.
Thank
Yep.
you.
But it was in the movie that you all clearly watched. Yeah, if you hadn't watched the movie, that would have made absolutely no sense.
No, absolutely no.
Yeah. Jordan, any other notes?
Yeah, so a couple of Anna corners. Other people got out of the car park before Homer. And they say, Homer is the only one who didn't steal anything. I'm like, we saw people leave. We saw the gates. Anyway.
That's
fine.
a very good point.
They wake up before the thing gets like taken off their head. And like, there's no reason for them to wake up at all.
Unlike Inception where they have the kick, they were just waking up.
Yep.
Again, just playing into this whole thing that we're saying is the parody was so toothless and meaningless.
Yeah. And Homer's mum has memories that he doesn't have. And it's like, okay, well, how? Because it's all within Homer's brain. That makes absolutely no sense. Too dumb. All right, cool. We did like in the storage locker, the whatever room.
Yep.
There is putty, comma, silly, and then putty, comma, serious as well.
I like that.
Pretty good.
Mr. Burns calls them, you lunch bagging wage lizards.
Not bad, but they also do this other thing where they do like the lazy version of the Burns-isms, where he said rubberized bands.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fucking brilliant.
Yeah, nice one.
Like,
nice one,
and
guys.
it's not actually an old-timey word.
No.
It's just Mr. Burns being obtuse about the way he phrases
Of course,
things.
they were called rubberized bands up until the 1940s when the Kaiser stole our word for rubberized.
If they'd say like rubberized loops even, that would have been better, but like they didn't even try.
Or rings or something.
That brain talk, the talk he had with his brain went on for like way too long.
That was fucking terrible.
I forgot about that.
Okay, it started out bad and very obvious where he's like, where's that washing machine thing you may have spoken of?
Yeah.
And then he goes, I'm going to do all the chores. I like that. And then the brain going, what the hell, man? What?
And then he goes into, I'm doing the best I can. You only feed me reality TV shows and stuff. He says, why can't I cork my wang wine? And I do not like the way that sounds.
No.
What's the plan with his alarm? Like, he doesn't want Marge to know, but he buys a fucking alarm?
Yeah. And even then, like, what did he think was going to happen?
Yeah, exactly. The Foley, the Foley on that diaper was just
accurate.
I reckon someone got in the booth with it on.
Dan Castellaneta decided to go method for that one.
It was like the crinkling and the sounds were just, that was like too real to not be a thing. The Adobe Acrobat update joke is so 2007.
I liked it. As far as just jokey ways to sort of explain out of things, like for a way to explain that you'll die in a dream, like I thought that was actually kind of funny that there was a very simple way to avoid them dying, but he's like, I didn't update my reader. Whatever.
Yeah. The only other one was the tongue device. I want one.
Oh, the tongue, so you don't have to lick your own finger when you're turning a page? Perfect.
Yep. I don't remember that. What?
Frank, when he's like reading the magazine, when the cops come in, he's got a tongue on like a rod that he wipes his finger on to then turn the page of the magazine.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Time for my final notes. So the Apu dream sequence with Homer's where he's picturing him as Vishnu, talking about karma. Yeah. So the Simpsons have a problem with Apu, guys. I think someone should make a documentary about it.
Nah, I don't think it's going to be a very interesting topic to spread over an entire documentary.
People just want to be offended, Elliot.
I came here to be offended. Actually, I love bad movies, so maybe I do.
I kind of like the gag, though, with the alarm, though, that he forgot the receipt or something and they announce it over the loudspeaker. And, especially how incognito he is, but... When he's going to sleep on a couch, they didn't establish that he was wearing a diaper then. So it was like, oh my God, you guys are risking getting pee on the couch. And because especially he establishes later that he was wearing underpants then, where he says, kids, feel daddy's dry underpants.
Yeah.
Which is creepy, but I did like that joke.
Yeah, it's like, everyone, feel my dryness.
He's like, no, Dad. Homer... Oh, I've got hair in this sequence and immediately grows hair.
Yeah.
Shouldn't he have had it already?
I think it was just the power of the dream that he holds, but
it seems they only did this so she could go, that's not your hair, that's Aniston hair. You're such a Chandler.
Not even really a funny joke.
No one told me The Simpsons was going to be this way. Friends at home, look up Auntie Donna's the cover of the theme from Friends. Guys, let's rank this thing. BT, your turn to kick it off.
I'm on a fail, because it's not an episode of The Simpsons.
Fair enough. Is that it?
Do I have to say anything else? I came for an episode of The Simpsons. Really. I got a toothless copy of Inception.
Nice.
So, go rent like a Korean bootleg of Inception, watch half of it while drinking enough tequila to black out, and you've got exactly this episode.
All right, Jordan.
What's the name of that film company that does those like parodies right before the real one comes out? Like Atlantic Rim and all those they always did
Transmogrifiers.
Yeah, is this like the Turkish film?
No. It's like in America. It's like Red Door Film or something like that. I think it's something. And my friend got tricked into watching, I think it was called Los Angeles Earthquake or something like that instead of San Andreas. And he's like, he watched it. He's like, oh man, it was so bad. And I'm like halfway through and I'm like, isn't The Rock supposed to be in this film? And then I'm like, that didn't happen in that film. And I realized that he'd watched this thing. Anyway, yes, this is weird, but I really wanted it to be worse. I really wanted it to be really bad and really awkward. And I'm kind of disappointed that it wasn't. Yeah, but it was still bad. And I'm like...
just for different reasons.
Yeah. I don't want to fail it. I feel like maybe that's peer pressure.
I mean, if you want to be cool, you'll fail it.
All the cool kids fail and smoke.
I don't smoke. Oh, I'm not cool either.
Yeah, see
Jordan.
what you did there.
Outed yourself.
Yeah, I did.
What do you reckon, George?
It just wasn't anything that I really liked. There's nothing that I thought was funny. So, yeah, I guess that's a failure. It's not even like one good joke.
I mean, don't let me pressure you. If you feel like it's participant.
So, because I probably will remember it and I'll be like, it was dumb, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, look, sort of much in the same way that, like, Father Knows Worst was a unanimous participant, but we're all like, maybe on a better day a bronze. Look, maybe on a better day I'd give this a participant, but as it is, I'm giving this a failure because, like, as much as I over-remembered the whole Homer diaper storyline, it's sort of that awkwardness that never pays off, and it all leads to this shitty Inception parody that has been done better by so many other shows. And
it's more in context in other shows as well.
All right, so that'll average out into being a unanimous failure. So we are giving this episode the index finger. Index finger. It'll be joining the other episode that we failed this evening, Last Traction Hero. It'll also be joining, all the crap, Lady Goes Gaga, Mo Goes from Rags to Riches. The Musk who fell to Earth. Great.
We've lost it, haven't we?
Oh, my
Lady
words are
Goes Gaga.
fucked. Old blue mare, she ain't what it used to be. But before we go to the next one, is that reputation justified?
Justified.
Hayden Childs of the AV Club, another newbie.
New to the show?
A new friend of the podcast, maybe. Gave this episode a B+. That's like a shiny bronze or maybe a silver on their scale. Although it never reaches outright hilarity, How I Wet Your Mother is one of the more interesting episodes of the season.
Interesting is the diplomatic word for it, yeah.
Yeah, that was fucked. All right, so we are into our final two. So there was only one more round of selecting an episode to go.
We throw in pens or we rolling dice?
Rolling dice or flipping coins. Do you have a D2?
Gonna roll a D20. It'll be odds or evens.
Oh, let's see if we can get.
Wait, let's flip my phone.
No, does anyone have a coin? We could get a coin flicking sound.
I mean, I got them upstairs.
Yeah, my wallet's upstairs as well.
I have a wallet, but I have no coins.
I have coins, but I have no wallet.
I have a mouth and I'm a screen. No.
Let's flip your wallet and
what about if I flip a credit card? Because you can kind of get that on tape.
Sure.
Wait, hold on.
The back of the credit card will be the later episode.
All right, let's do this. You ready?
Yep. Oh, it'll be the later episode. So that means the next episode we're going to be doing is another parody of another thing.
Yay!
This will be Homerland. Parodying Homeland.
Oh, no. Why? How are they going to even do that?
This is going to get awkward, I feel like, hopefully.
It's going to get racist.
So, yeah, I think this is actually good because that'll leave us with American History X-cellent at the end. And that
Another
is,
film parody.
No.
The name is a parody of one thing, but the actual episode is a parody of Shawshank and Green Mile.
Cock
Why?
shitball.
What a coincidence. I left all of the fucking parodies to the end.
To tequila! Gonna need something to get through this.
Word. And we are back, and we are on our second to last stop on the Wasteland. We went via Homerland. This was season 25, episode 1, first released in September of 2013. Directed by Bob Anderson, written by Stephanie Gillis, who has penned some of the worst Simpsons episodes, and I find no surprise that she's Al Jean's wife, and she doesn't have many other writing credits. So, put the puzzle pieces together.
What the fuck? They're at the point of now, anyone can write for us. Hey, you there, you write an episode. But I'm a homeless person who doesn't know how to write his own name. Doesn't matter, get up here. I may have gone insane. / drunk.
In this episode, this is fucked. So Homer's goes to a convention and then gets brainwashed to enact a terrorist plot on the nuclear plant, and it rolls out like that. Guys, what did you think?
I've written so many notes and I've forgotten what all of them mean, almost immediately. You know what? I think this could have been a cool concept, but they shat themselves.
Yeah.
There is so much duty in pants.
And also, it's just really offensive in parts.
So offensive.
They veered away from the offense, but they still set it up, and that alone is enough to be a problem.
Oh, but they still did little
Yeah.
things that are just like, nah, it's not cool.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, look, I'm just going to start right out, say that was the thing that stood out to me from this episode for worse, is using Homer taking on traits of a Muslim person to give Lisa suspicion that he is a terrorist.
Yeah.
This is fucked up because Lisa wouldn't assume because he's suddenly praying to the East and avoiding pork and alcohol that this means he's a terrorist.
Yeah, a change in spirituality, sure, but just straight to terrorism. There are other ways to indicate he might be a terrorist without going to the Muslim thing. And, like, that was one of my first notes, is, like, he passed on pork, ... are we, ...
Yeah, when they busted out the prayer mat, I've just got so many question marks here, like, and I don't think that the reveal that he was actually taken in by hippies saves this at all.
No, because they could have taken him by hippies who taught him that, you know, pork was not a good idea because animals suffer for it. He's like, okay. And then alcohol is also a problem. Then, okay. But then when the prayer mat is revealed to just be an affirmation mat.
Oh, fuck that.
Like, have it be a prayer mat and go, what? They taught me meditation and some other, you know.
Why does he need to pray, you know, in the style of Islam?
He's like, oh, this mat is hard on my knees. Oh, this mat is hard on my knees. And it's like,
fuck you.
Yeah, it really just, he could have been like, what? It's a nice religion, and I learned some things.
If they'd made it like, oh, tofu, I love tofu, instead of, oh, no, I don't want pork. Like, it could have just been another thing. Like, they could have just swapped it a little bit to just not be...
It's
be hippie instead of racist.
Look, there's just so many other ways to indicate that he's preparing for a terrorist plot. You don't need to hint that he's Muslim. And look, I don't watch Homeland. You know, I just tend to avoid these shows that are about government organizations taking down terrorist organizations because, much like 24, my experience is they tend to keep going to this whole fucking anti-Muslim thing, and it's just fucking lazy at this point.
Yeah, I mean, now especially, like, at the crux of 2002, when people kind of needed that to help them process everything that had happened. I'm not going to say it's good. I'm just going to say I understand the motive behind it.
Sure. Yeah.
But now it just feels, really distant from that. We've grown from that, you know, from that knee-jerk reaction to the world changing as it did.
And especially because, I mean, at least the last 5 years' worth of statistics will prove the majority of terrorist acts are committed by white people. BT, what stood out to you from this episode?
Okay, there's a really... It's something that sits there right on my notes, is that Nelson's mum's nipple tassels.
Why did Homer have a fantasy about Bart's grave?
Yeah, I guess that's the part that doesn't tie into the reveal that, no, he's actually just a hippie, is that he has this fantasy about wheeling something into the nuclear plant and a nuclear explosion, and then everyone's dead, and then Nelson's mum is next to Nelson's grave waving her nipple tassels around. And it's like, there's no explanation as to why... If I don't sabotage the plant, there will be an explosion and that will kill everyone. They don't explain it, though. It's just left there as you go into like a flash forward of Homer's plan, and that's not explained away. It's still there. And the Nelson's mom thing was just awkward when it first happened, before we even get to the hints that he might have converted or whatever.
It's not even that she's in her like stripper dress. She's in like formal.
She's in like stripper mourning.
Yeah,
it's really weird and it's really off-putting.
Also,
before all the other weird off-putting stuff.
Who decided? We'll honor them by putting their catchphrases on their headstones.
Jordan, what stood out to you from this episode?
Okay, I guess Wizard of Oz is canon in the Simpsons universe.
Sure.
Cool. I mean, that's just one of the crazy notes that happened. Actually, you know what? The thing that stood out to me was the Claire Danes parody from like her character in Homeland. Oh, because, you know, she's kind of crazy. She got bipolar and, she's imagining things. And I'm like, are you saying she's schizophrenic? Are you saying she's bipolar? What are you trying to...
Yeah, they didn't know.
And we couldn't really extrapolate from people who don't watch the show watching this parody, couldn't really figure out what that was a joke on. Like other parodies we've watched that we don't are about things we haven't seen, you can figure out from context what's going on.
Yeah.
But in this, that was just like, okay, two people in the background keep morphing into different creatures and then they disappear.
So are the drugs that she is actually actively taking, are they helping her or hurting her? Like,
well, yeah, because at the very end, she's like, oh, now to walk off into the sunset. And she takes the drugs, which make everything appear into this happy tableau, which is like, okay, so you were seeing reality and now you're not?
Yeah, it's the most fucked assumption what medicine actually does to you. Like, yeah, for actual bipolar people, this helps them. Like, it doesn't fucking make the world sunshine and rainbows. It just corrects a chemical imbalance. Yeah. Fuck.
Also, I should just say for context, the Wizard of Oz thing that I said before, for people who haven't seen the episode, Homer asks for water, but yeah, Moe's like, water killed my grandmother, and it's a picture of Glinda, and it's like, why?
So, yeah, Moe's the son of a Yeti who was the son of a witch. Cool. So, yeah, and by the way, the Annie Crawford character, who I don't know if that was Claire Danes' character's name. Anyway, this was played by Kristen Wiig, who is a comedian that I love and admire.
I like Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, I don't know why she said yes to this. This is fucking garbage. Play count. Have you seen this episode before tonight?
No.
Oh, Sifr, which is Arabic for 0.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck. I know I've watched this episode before, but I really must have, out of frustration, blanked it out of my mind because it looked fresh to me tonight. How about some of the wacky moments of this episode? Where to begin?
Mr. Burns is powered by a hamster in a wheel.
That was a fucked joke.
A lava rock burns through Homer's pocket and through the ground and falls on Grandpa's head. He's like, I'm still cold. And they've done that before. I'm pretty sure he's been on fire and said that.
Yeah. And also, anal corner, so it was fine in the suitcase. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and also Abe can just lift himself up out of the hole from the basement into the kitchen living space.
On the positive, a line I did like when Homer's wheeling the thing in. He's like, what you got there, Mr. Simpson? Weird thing under a top? That's what I thought. Keep going.
yeah, and then they overstep it with, oh, now I'll have a good day, but, oh, whoops, I remembered my cat died.
Oh, no, because he says something like, oh, you won't be smiling later. He goes, yeah, because now I'm alone with the memory of my dead cat. It's like, oh, come on.
Overstepping the fucking...
Oh, yeah, with the suitcase in the start anyway, he keeps tipping it out, and then more stuff falls out, and then more stuff falls out, and then more full stuff's out.
Very Hammer Space joke.
Yeah.
Another joke I did like was the FBI van, fresh burritos instantly.
Yeah, that was a good one. Another bit of wacky as well, God, this episode has a bad relationship with medicine, was Marge giving Bart his pills, and then all of a sudden he does the isosceles triangle rant. Now, this is in another Simpsons episode where Henry Kissinger, the glasses, Homer in the bathroom. Is this actually a reference to something else?
Yeah, it's Wizard of Oz.
Oh, okay.
Because Bart even has the follow-up line of, no, it's my lines from the Wizard of Oz that we're doing. And he has a straw hat. And it's like,
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that was just doubling down in one. Great.
Yeah, this was shit. And yeah, just once again plays into they don't know what drugs are.
No, exactly.
You know what, writers? Do drugs.
Yeah.
You'll learn so much.
So any other weird, wacky
Yeah,
moments?
one of the stores at the Power Convention is Three-Eyed Sushi.
I didn't say that. I saw Klaxons versus Sirens.
Yeah,
and
that
they're
was
both
pretty
blaring
good.
sirens at each other. I thought that was funny.
Not bad. And look, there's something I do like about the premise of the joke of a bunch of guys going to a convention only to just drink and get free swag.
Well, for a while, I thought we were going for like a hangover thing. You know, the hangover.
Yeah.
That would have been so much better.
Yeah, where
The
Homer's
Homer over.
where Homer's lost and they have to fly to wherever and try and track him down. Yeah.
The Hang Homer.
Yeah.
Hey.
There we go. Pun name and everything. Then I was like, oh, cool. Is this where we're going? And then I'm like, oh, that's right. It's called Homerland. So this is going to be something else entirely.
Well, if the weird parody intro didn't
Yeah.
It just reminds me of like the X-Files episode, which from the outset, like they made it feel a bit different, a bit fun, a bit spooky. And this one, wow, like...
Yeah, it took so long for us to figure out how this was going to be a parody.
Yeah.
It was weird, the intro. It was there's shots of all the presidents speaking, but then there's a shot of the Grinch and they blow up a whale and that falls on the Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah, and Clinton's line, I grew up in Arkansas in a little town called Terrorism.
Yeah, which, I mean, I'm guessing that's how Homeland opens. But...
Yeah, but it's still dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Homer, he was opening champagne with his feet?
Mm-hmm.
Is that because
he didn't want his family to see?
To just wait till you go around the corner?
Although a mile, he opens that champagne without taking the foil or that wire cap off. That's hard.
Yeah.
So he has
With
talented
his
feet.
Yeah. Oh, Marge knows.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. And, you know, when they jump in the air and they do the mid-air splits and they stay that way for a good couple of seconds.
But
Yeah,
then
pans
the
out, the security guards are holding them.
teleport behind them.
Problem with that is, why are they getting thrown up by security? They're not doing anything wrong.
They're getting the free swag that they're entitled to.
Exactly.
If they're getting thrown out for everything, it's that fucking dumb swag fame song parody.
Yeah, I've been to conventions and I have also swagged it up. So,
Yeah.
it's what you do.
But how about the heart of this episode?
They're really sad when Homer doesn't come back on the plane. And so Bart changes his sign from welcome Homer to need new dad, no fatties.
I do like they have the missing poster and then underneath smaller reward.
Yeah.
That's not bad. But I hated Lenny's, I've got a cheer up filter on my phone.
Yeah, that was long and drawn out and pointless.
Although those filters are really fun. You can just do it on anything. And you can just do it on weird shit, and it looks really funny. But yeah, it was just Why? Why? It's really insensitive. Okay, you know what? Forget it.
Speaking of insensitive, fucking Patty and Selma are just fucking ripping into Homer when the family, he's lost, presumed dead. Like, horrible people.
What really bugs me about that is back when Homer was having his heart surgery, Patty and Selma, where they were like trying to introduce Marge to new guys, when Marge is like, but my husband's not dead, they're like, oh, thank God, I hope he pulls through. They actually seemed genuinely concerned in amongst they were trying to set him up with someone else. But I think when they're like, I hope he pulls through, but they don't want him dead.
What they say, like, we'll refer to him as the Blob.
Yeah.
I think the Blob is stuck in a water intake pipe in a reservoir.
Just
it's like,
fuck you.
Yeah, they were being
Which
dicks.
is what's worse, though, this or, like, intentionally murdering him?
Intentionally murdering him, obviously.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, definitely. Eternal Moonshine of the Simpsons mind is way worse.
I think it's another example of the nuance being lost from characters over time, that they've gone from people who dislike Homer but don't necessarily want him to die to people who are just happy if he suffers in any capacity.
Yeah.
Is that why I've got the note dead elephant? Did they call him that at some point?
They were like, we called the morgue and he's not there, but maybe they mistook him for an elephant and took him to the zoo morgue.
No.
So
even worse
shipped
than
him
that,
back to Africa.
To Kenya. And I'm like, wow, okay, cool, because all elephants are from Kenya. Nice
Be
one.
an Asian elephant.
Yep.
Well, this episode just had a lot of racist elements in it. Like, I know they lent into it with the whole Chief Wiggum profiling Apu bit, but then when they cut to his notepad and it was Mexican B and Black Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't feel like parodying that anymore. It felt like leaning into it.
I get it, because they're not white.
Yeah.
Yellow. Whatever.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, yellow characters get referred to as white. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
happens more than once, and it's weird.
So, yeah, look, we're on the heart topic, but there's no fucking heart in this episode.
No.
Ultimately, though, guys, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
No. Like, if they'd explained it away a bit better, maybe, but it doesn't stick. It doesn't land. Like,
yeah.
You know what? I like the concept. I think the execution was poor. You could have made it nothing to do with like any kind of Islam vibes at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And it might have been.
And there's the big problem.
You don't need to do it. Don't need to make it a Homeland parody. You could just make it, Homer goes to a convention, gets kidnapped and Manchurian candidated.
Yeah.
And it's nothing serious.
Also, how long was he supposed to have been gone?
Who knows?
Like, there's no real timeline. So, if they were under suspicion that he'd been radicalized, that doesn't happen in a weekend.
No.
And also, he was kind of self-aware. Like that moment where Annie Crawford crawls into bed, he's like, I've got a hint for you. I'm going to be on time at work tomorrow. I'm not usually like that.
Yeah.
What am I going to... Like, no, if someone is being... I haven't seen the Manchurian Candidate, but I'm assuming that they don't have any self-awareness about what they're doing.
No,
it's completely like under...
Almost robotic,
Yeah, exactly. They don't realize they just get a trigger word and they get, the training kicks in and they kind of go into a fugue state and do their dirty task.
Well, I mean, that's what I thought they were doing.
Yeah.
Because Homer sort of had this sort of blank slate of a character. Because I didn't actually cotton on to the refusing pork and refusing alcohol. It was only when he laid down the mat that I put all that together and was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
But then, because it should have been this thing where, he was in this fugue state, he was a bit smarter, he was a bit more cluey, and then the whole fucking line about confusing Lisa for a cat, and then,
that
do
was
you
right.
hate
that
Mondays,
went on
and do you...
forever and was
You like
done.
lasagna like me? Because you thought I was going to say Garfield. Yeah, I didn't. I was kind of in between you two in that. And as soon as Lisa said, he's refusing to eat pork and drink beer, I'm like, oh God, they're doing a Muslim thing. Please don't say, oh, it is. Oh, please.
It very much is and was. But yes or no, would you watch this one again?
No.
Yeah, I don't see a point.
It's
or a
fucked.
reason.
Does it belong in the wasteland?
Oh yeah, it needs to be buried in sand in the wasteland. We'll find some garbage and pile it on top.
Yes.
Definitely.
I would like to see maybe just the intro side by side with the Homeland one to see how close it is. Maybe if it's like a shot for shot
To
kind
really
of thing.
get the parody a bit more, yeah.
Yeah, I'd sooner watch an episode of Homeland.
I don't really want to see that.
Neither. It looks like a bad show. And as much as I love Manny Patinkin.
Yeah. Mandy Patinkin is the guy who is in the bed and cuddles up to Homer after the end.
And he's also Diego Montoya.
Inigo Montoya. But yeah.
Fuck me.
That's
Inigo
right.
Montoya, you killed my father. Prepare to die.
BT, what would you change?
We've already covered. Let's just change this away from the Muslim thing because that's not a good place to go, and you can do it without it, and that's part of the main issue. I really would have loved to have done the Hangover bit instead. Have them go to this city and try to track down Homer based on his random shenanigans when he was wasted at this convention. That sounds like way more fun.
That is kind of the setup for the episode with a way different payoff in the end.
Yeah, and it just sounds like a better time to me, so let's just do that.
How about you, George?
you go further and just say remove any kind of mention of like race
Mhm.
at all,
Yeah.
or God.
Religion, yeah.
Yeah, because there's another bit where Marge says like,
Dear
Christian God.
And Lisa's
What
like,
the fuck?
like,
Oh,
okay,
sorry, just
dear
God.
But you know which one I mean. It's like, okay, first of all, she's a Buddhist now. So
There is
Yeah.
no God in the Buddhist religion, I thought.
I'm not too sure how it works, but it's more about spirituality than an
Yeah.
actual divine
I thought it was
being,
about,
but-
like, reaching nirvana, but there's not like a deity. I
Yeah, it's
didn't
my
think.
understanding. So why is she then satisfied by, generic God, whoever one we want to
Yeah,
pray to?
it's dumb.
That's not
terrible.
how anyone's grace starts,
No.
specifying who they're sending the email to.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, for change for me, man, this is a total teardown. This is an embarrassing episode. Like, and this is your season opener,
For which year was this out?
2013.
Oh, really?
And their 25th, 25 is a bit of a milestone-y number as well, and they clearly acknowledged that with the couch gag. And then to do this fucking toothless racist episode that was capped off with a rehash of the couch gag, where for some fucking reason, like, it was kind of cute that they had all the other Fox animated characters Simpsonized come into the
Yeah.
party, but then to have Cleveland show rejected at the fucking thing,
Oh.
what? For being black?
And then doing the protest like Fox doesn't like
Yeah.
African Americans, and then Homer's written and Homer underneath it, and then they let them in, but then Homer's still refused, and then he gets tased, and
What's the joke
funny.
here?
Ha, 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 ha,
Yeah,
ha,
like
ha,
we'll
ha.
accept black people, but only if they protest. Like, no, what are we taking away from this?
Like, I'm meant to laugh at the fact that Homer keeps getting rejected from this party. Why?
Yeah, it's not.
He's the patriarch. Like, what?
Why would he get refused?
You
Like,
know what,
what's the point?
I'm pretty sure they've literally done this exact couch gag before, where there's a velvet rope and then he lets everyone in, and then closes it off him and walks and goes,
I mean, I think it's a nice thing for them to tribute all these other shows that are around the same time and, include Bob's Burgers and Family Guy in this celebration, but the way they did it and the jokes they made were just shit. BT, do you have any other notes?
I got plenty. I like Marge has a line about snuggle dreams. I thought that was cute. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Margians. That's cute.
It wasn't bad, but the sex moment of this, oh, Homer, what are you doing? I'm moving my body.
Yeah,
That
like-
was fucked.
Also, we know that their sex life is good.
Yeah.
and I figure like Homer's probably pretty good at it because he's kept Marge satisfied for all these years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And she always looks satisfied at the end of sex.
Yep.
Which made the bit where she's like wrote "Mama" like on Lisa's pancakes
Yeah, it was
extra
awful.
Oh,
fucking creepy.
Really
Yeah.
super gross.
Hey, my 8-year-old daughter, Mama had good sex last night.
Yeah.
Ew.
I wrote down the words line jiggly, and I don't know why.
Line jiggly.
Oh, because Wiggum gets the calls, like, is this a secure line? And he touches
Yeah.
the phone. He's like, it's a little bit jiggly, but it should be okay.
I like that, actually.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. I do like the line of, well, you're beautiful in a break and enter kind of way.
Yeah.
The lead into I didn't like.
Find a girl that you can say that to.
Yep. Finally, I have at the very end that the Homeland lady just pushes Ralph over. So
Yeah.
fuck you, Homeland lady.
Yep.
Yeah, again, it's just they didn't know what to do with this character.
Maybe pushing people over is her thing.
Claire Danes.
Do you push people over like an asshole? Are you an asshole, Claire Danes?
Jordan, any other notes?
Yeah, that whole police voicemail thing was just completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, oh, people are so, like, why do they have to talk so rapidly and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, there is a man with a knife. Like, why is he playing it?
Yeah, they could have left it at, they always speak so rapid and panicky. Wow.
Yeah.
That would have
Yeah.
been enough. It wouldn't have been great, but it would have been enough.
As well, because that was the moment where Homer just shows up back home. There was just a lot of unnecessary things in this episode. Like when they show Annie Crawford sneaking into Bart's room and just Milhouse is there.
Yeah.
Like, it's not unusual for kids to have sleepover and, especially at that age, sleep in the same bed, whatever.
They're actually in separate sleeping bags.
Oh, in the same bed?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good, because that way they won't get cooties.
Yep.
Yeah. And otherwise they'd need to go top to tail.
The parts are still lining
lined
up.
up.
Ah, Seinfeld bits.
And yeah, my other point is, what if the person has a foot fetish? But anyway, but yeah, like Milhouse is there for no reason so that the person can have a joke that digs at him and it's not good.
Yeah. Also, why would she guess the name Milhouse as
Of all
his
names,
name?
yeah.
But now I know, fuck you.
At one point, Lisa says to Bart, why am I still worried? He's like, because you're incapable of experiencing joy. And she has that flash to the being on a roller coaster, but reading Sylvia Plath.
Yep.
Yeah. There were a few of those like thought bubble gags that didn't gel
Yeah.
at all.
Oh,
for me.
what about when Dad went to New Orleans and came back with an accent?
And he has that like Cajun accent.
And he's eating a crocodile on a stick. It's just...
It's really gross. Lisa is like, oh my God, he's praying to the east and everything. And she's saying this all out loud. And I'm like, why couldn't you just make this thought, Lisa? Like, why couldn't you just make it voiceover?
Yeah, of all the things I put in thought bubbles, why wasn't it that?
Yeah, just the voice be her voice. Like, don't show. Why is she talking out loud? Why?
Also, it should have been the thing like 30 Rock where Liz Lemon was suspecting her neighbor, but she was like, have I actually got some secret racism about me? You know?
Yeah.
So that was tackling the same thing, but doing it so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lisa should have had this conflict of personal belief, you know. I don't think that because he's praying to the east it automatically makes him a terrorist, but, you know, there's all this other stuff.
Yeah, that would be so much better and not make me feel so just gross about this episode.
Yeah.
Okay, the weird fish facial recognition for Monty, it was okay.
I liked it.
I liked
was
it
fun.
okay. I didn't like when they then switched perspectives to see the fish from front on. I got the joke already.
Yeah, we got it.
That.
Yeah. He's like, this T-shirt lights me, and it's like a pork positive shirt.
Why is he wearing it?
So why wear it?
Yeah, you've been wearing this after 3 days of at least of being indoctrinated. Like, fuck you.
So dumb. Yeah, like Wiggum was like, he's about to shoot Lisa in the back.
Yeah.
That's
Holy shit, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. He's like, oh, they don't teach you this kind of what to do in the police academy. Movies. Oh!
Simpsons did it.
Yeah. To be fair, he does have a line of, I can't shoot a kid, and throws his gun at it. He misses her, fires, and shoots him in the leg.
Yeah. And the last one was, why is there an atom bomb imagery at all? It was never going to be. It was never going to be a bomb.
The only thing I can extrapolate is that if Homer doesn't sabotage the nuclear plant, it's going to explode. But they don't call to it at all.
But the other weird thing is that it's like seemingly in a field. It's not in the middle of Springfield.
Yep.
So what the hell?
Yeah, fuck it. Like, just fuck it. All right, time for my final notes.
Final.
I wish they had more of their convention buddy.
Oh,
It felt like he was going to be a part of it for a while and then isn't.
Completely forgot about him.
Yeah, because it was a bit of a mixed bag, the scenes that he was in, but he also had the joke of, I'm going to spike this guy's drink. What will you think of next? That's all I thought of.
Yep.
That was pretty good. That was a pretty good joke. I loved Marge's Cheeto spit take.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty good. Oh, wait, was that in an episode that we watched tonight? He was like, Smithers, pass me that water.
Yeah, squeeze me.
Yeah.
I like that one too. Oh, yeah, and Homer's like constant misdirect conversation with Lisa before the second act break. Oh, I'm going to see you on the other side of the house where the fireplace is. We're melting marshmallows, making s'mores. Fuck you.
Marshmallow. Then he says marshmallows ominously, and it's like...
Yeah, why?
And then doesn't he like walk backwards and like kind of... It's so dumb.
I've got a line about George W. Bush and Lisa and giant question mark. Oh, I'll finish my mission just like George W. Bush did.
Yeah.
Which is a kind of a funny line, but not for Lisa.
No.
Yeah, I think that's for someone who has right-wing leanings.
Yeah, because he was all, you're going in Iraq. They're the people who tried to kill my daddy.
Yeah.
And he did say mission accomplished while on a,
Apparently there is more to that. Like that mission accomplished banner was for something else, but they also didn't take it down. Which was the dumb part.
I thought it was all him.
No, I read something else where it was like obviously a big, stupid as fuck oversight to leave it up there.
Yeah.
But it actually wasn't there for his speech. It was there for something else.
Bizarre.
Those slogans that are just going to follow the presidency, like, I don't really care, do you?
Oh my God. Can you
God.
fucking believe that?
Which is just like, okay, I appreciate you probably just threw in a jacket and didn't think about it, but fuck, are you kidding? Did no one, are there no aides following you going, Miss Flotus, you maybe don't want to...
That's my exact point. You know, these people don't get to where they are without a group of fucking entourage. The fact that they are where they are right now is baffling enough, but for an oversight like that is just
it's one of those things that
terrible.
Any other day of the week, that would have been fine. But that one...
It was still weird, right? Because it's a $30 Zara jacket from like 3 years ago. It's not something you just happen to like find and throw on, and then she didn't wear it the rest of the day.
Not in regular rotation.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was Melania's laundry day or something.
They're like, oh no, she wasn't trying to send a message. Like, okay, well then why pick that?
It is just weird. Like,
yeah. Anyway, it's time to rank this thing. I think it's your turn to kick it off, Jordan.
I think I need to fail it. Like, God, so dumb, really offensive.
Yep.
Really got the old juices riled up. Final thrust towards the end goal from the desert. Oh, what is we even talking about?
Who knows? BT?
It is the madness of the wasteland. We forget why we're here. Onward we go, forever and ever. Stay fast there, young Jordan Frost.
We have one more stop left.
You'll make it. We'll get to the
me.
settlement soon, friend. There'll
BT?
be hot wine and horse for everybody.
Horse. I love horse.
No, I want cold wine and hot women.
Well, you'll get what you're given. Fuck.
BT, what would you like to rank this thing?
I'm on a fail too. Look, even if you aren't offended by its use of Islamophobia, yeah. Even if you're not offended by that, it's still just a toothless, boring episode that just mishandles everything, and you just feel it's weak. And that's if you're not offended by that, which it is. I'm not terribly easy to piss off, but this is just, it's lazy writing and shit writing and really just, it's, like I said, it's gross. Is my best word for it. It's, gross. A fail.
Yeah,
Fuck
my best word for it is it's an embarrassment. This is an embarrassment to The Simpsons. It's an embarrassment to everyone who produced it. Quite frankly, I think it's an embarrassment to Kristen Wiig. Like, I know as an actor, you know, you'll probably take any chance, especially to appear on The Simpsons, but honestly, why did she continue after reading this script?
Maybe they just sent her lines. Who the fuck knows? I don't know how these things work, but this is terrible. This will be a unanimous failure. It'll be joining other unanimous failures like Let's Go Fly a Coot, Love is in the N2O2 ARCO2 NEHECH4, Treehouse of Horror 26, Devil Wears Nada, Blue and the Grey. Yeah, this is dog shit. Oh, and it'll also be joining Dogtown, which is also dog shit.
Hey.
Dogtown, dog shit.
But before we get to the final episode, guys, is that reputation justified?
Oh, I'm worried now.
The unpredictable Dennis Perkins of the AV Club.
Oh, God.
Dennis, what am I going to do, Perkins?
B-.
Has he ranked anything below a B this entire Wasteland?
Sky Police got a C+. Puffless got a C.
You know what? Sky Police was better than this. Because at least Sky Police
fucking oath.
left the Sky Police shitness and became something else.
Definitely. So, yeah, a B- again on their scale. This is probably around the bronze, maybe as high as a shiny bronze. There are some funny lines. The gimmick doesn't completely overwhelm the narrative, and things are back in place for the next episode.
Oh, fuck off. The gimmick doesn't fucking work.
Yeah.
Even if that's all you're focusing on, it doesn't function.
I am so glad to leave this episode behind, guys. We are at the boss fight now. We have one more episode left. We are going to American History X-cellent.
That sounds like it's going to be terrible.
Fuck.
Yeah, come on, fucking bring it, motherfucker!
Do it, motherfucker!
We'll be right back.
And we are back, and we are losing our minds. We have just finished our last episode.
Yeah.
We have broken our previous Wasteland record. Fuck, I can't wait till we gather next year when we try and do 9 episodes, guys.
Yes.
Anyway, we just watched Season 21, Episode 17, American History X-cellent. This was first released in April of 2010, directed by Bob Anderson, written by Michael Price. In this episode, Mr. Burns goes to prison and Waylon Smithers takes over as head of the nuclear plant, but finds that the employees take advantage of his niceness and he turns into a gruff. And while Mr. Burns is in prison, he's visited by basically the guy from Green Mile who de-evils him and he becomes born again. Guys, what'd you think?
Look, maybe it's the alcohol in the blood or the madness in my brain, but I had an okay time with this one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It was fine. It's just like, couldn't they have made a Shawshank or a Green Mile pun for the title? Why'd they call it American History X-cellent? Got nothing to do with that movie.
Or American history, really. It's sort of, there's a bit at the start where they're doing like a 4th of July celebration that I guess alludes to American history, but not really.
It was just for the excellent.
Excellent. I'll say as well that I don't think this episode lent too hard into anything. Like, to me, this is actually such a deserving Wasteland episode because it does waste. It has a bit of allusion to Green Mile. It has a bit of an allusion to Shawshank, but nothing really.
Honestly, I think the Green Mile term was the weirdest for me. It just really just out of nowhere. I'm going to suck all the evil out of your soul. And it's like, oh, okay.
Wow.
This is a thing now?
We're going supernatural.
Yeah,
up in this
out of
bitch.
kind of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was
Very out of nowhere.
Whereas previously, like, the Shawshank reference had been more or less a visual reference with, like, the warden in in that, but that was about it.
Yeah, it just looked like the warden,
Yeah, it wasn't a plot line reference, and to make it Green Mile was a little, definitely a little off color.
Jordan, what's a moment from this episode that stood out to you?
For me, I don't know if it's just because I'm sleepy, but that B story with Lisa and Bart and the ants just was so out of place.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like it went anywhere.
I don't understand what the point of it was, and at first it was almost like they were mother and son, but then it became mother and father. They resolved the problem out of nothing, and then it kind of goes nowhere, and then it's all pointless anyway, and I don't know.
Yeah, look, I didn't buy Bart's involvement in it at all, because in the establishing scene, like, it's totally, Marge just goes, play with Lisa, and that's how the story kicks off. And Bart doesn't give two fucks about the ant farm, and then all of a sudden he does?
Yeah.
I think what they needed to drive, and they didn't quite land, was he only gives a fuck because Lisa cares. But they didn't quite land that. It's what they kind of vaguely hinted at.
Because, he just dropped a Pop-Tart in the ant farm because he's a bit of an anarchist. And
it seemed like it would be enough,
Look, I will say that Santa's little helper eating the ants and that, cute puppy dog face. And then I laughed personally at the end when Santa's little helper eats that last
I did too.
ant.
Yeah.
They have that moment, they've set it free, they hold hands and just...
Yeah, and I actually don't know that I would have still found it funny had they given more weight to the story, or maybe it would have been funnier.
Nah, it felt just very disjointed from everything else going on.
And it had nothing to do with the main plot.
Yeah, which it doesn't necessarily have to as a B plot, but it just, I don't know, I think just felt a little extra removed somehow. I'm not sure how.
It felt really forced as well to me, and I don't know.
No, definitely. How about you, BT? What's the moment from the story that stood out to you?
I think just how we get Mr. Burns arrested. We go from, all the employees have to work his 4th of July party for him, and then they get pissed off and they go into his wine cellar, and while they're making anarchy in his house, he calls the police, and the police find stolen paintings and arrest him for it. That's fairly organic. It takes a few steps, but, what plotline doesn't? We get a couple of jokes out of there that I was okay with, like when they're playing Twister on a bunch of paintings. And
I like that.
Left-hand Rembrandt was pretty funny. I also like, it's a quick visual reference, and I really like they don't call attention to it. It's when they're descending the stairs to his wine cellar, there's like a chair rail around the wine cellar stairs, but they don't.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's for like elderly people.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I like that, okay.
I was almost writing Simpsons did it in my notes because Mr. Burns being an art thief from the Hellfish episode.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I felt like this was just reminding us that it was a thing rather than doing it again.
Yeah, I agree. It's more the reminder and continuation of than it is a rehash.
Yeah. I'll say the moment from the story that stood out to me was... This is a point that I liked, but I do not like how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
Smithers originally intending on being a more employee-friendly boss, but the turn on his employees was just way too sudden. Like, we needed to build this up a lot more. We needed to have the employees gradually lose his trust. And this is a problem that I did actually have with the anarchy at Burns' house, is there was too much focus on just Homer, Lenny, and Carl. I think more employees should have been involved at every one of these turns.
Yeah, true. For him to turn on all employees, it feels like it needed to be all employees.
Like, within the scene at Moe's bar, we see him being friendly and then being turned on. And I think it was so forced.
Very sudden. I do like the idea of Smithers running the plant. That's pretty cool.
Although they looked like they were having so much fun at his house when they were just fucking around, and like Carl's in like the diving suit, and Homer's like macing stuff at his face mask to like destroy it. And
that was a good visual with the point of view when all you could hear was the scuba.
Yeah.
So how before tonight have you watched this episode? Play count? If so, how many counts?
I have not.
I would say So Kong, which is 0 in Vietnamese.
This has been 8 Ways to Say No with Jordan Frost.
Wait, no, ways to say 0, not no.
Yeah.
Fuck! I'm tired.
I guess technically I said nada, which is more nothing in Spanish, but who gives a shit?
Linguists.
Tired. Not me anymore.
It is after midnight.
Captain's luck.
So very tired.
Yeah, I've seen this episode a few times before. Again, I generally like season 21, but it is a bit of a mixed bag, and this is another one where, like, there's a few things this episode does right, but yeah, to me, it's...
This is that licorice all sort in the mixed lolly bag that you get.
It really is. And there's probably parts of the licorice all sort that are delicious.
Yeah, there's some of those like cream bits in the middle, but you got to eat past 2 layers of licorice to get to it.
I like licorice all sorts.
I'm more of a Jersey caramel guy.
Ooh.
They're also good.
Hey, Jersey.
Forget about it.
Joyzy.
Fucking wackiness. What are some wacky moments that stood out to you guys?
Mr. Burns carries an SS card.
Holy fuck!
Yeah. One social security card. No, that's an SS card, you dumb Kopf. Didn't need that joke.
That was unusual, yes.
Yeah, that was, I think, pretty unnecessary. Also, doesn't he, love America?
He loves whatever will profit him.
Also, we've seen him in the Second World War. That's the troubled trillions.
Yeah, but he also has the line, I'm not so different from Oscar Schindler. We both made bombs for Nazis, but mine worked!
Oh, yeah.
So let's call it conflicted
fair
at
enough.
best.
There were a couple of cute little Burnsy jokes. I liked that they put the handcuffs around his waist.
Yeah. His memory of oh, screw it, I'm telling the story, I'll do it. And like Smithers' nose falls off from frostbite.
Too far, rain and then snow was funny, and then a little too much for the frostbite.
Yeah.
However, I do like the Miss Byrne line was oh, I've done many things in my time. Smithers lists a few things. The main ones were attempted murder, successful murder.
Yeah.
But who would have thought I'd go to prison for art theft?
Yeah. My favorite wacky thing was, first of all, he gets chucked into prison and they hose him down with the fire hose.
Yeah.
And they take the photo and the flash goes off and he gets thrown against the wall again. Yeah, that was really funny.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming either. That was pretty funny. Any other wacky moments?
Why the fuck did they not just check the door to see if Smithers was back inside before just ragging on him so blatantly?
Yeah.
It's so dumb. It's oh, Mr. Smithers, what a marshmallow, what an idiot, fucking idiot, that kind of thing. And it's just Lenny, you're looking at the fucking door. You probably see him in your field of view. Unless you got one contact in both eyes. Wait, no, that's the wrong one.
I think this comes back again to this was the good idea, but the way that they did the scene wasn't good. I don't think it should have been in Moe's bar. It should have been at the plant, and maybe Smithers saw them through security tapes or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
Just reminded me of that really bad bit.
What bad bit?
And Homer is oh, I know you like your loafers on the light side, so
Yeah.
He just lifts
pulls up
his
his shirt and goes, you do with that image what you want.
And they could have saved that if they had a reaction of Smithers just being no. But
Smithers kind of gives this half smile at the end because he's I'm bonding with the stuff.
yeah,
It's
it was
no.
I would have appreciated it as this is what Homer thinks is going to work. But obviously, if the reaction was no, that would have been fine. It kind of half got there.
Yeah.
You can't tell if it's the episode pulling that joke or Homer pulling that joke.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. Bit of wackiness that I did like, though, and it's sort of a callback to Cook for 40 Humans.
Yeah.
At least we know it's the best insulation, and then wipes it off, asbestos. And then he goes, wipes it again, best asbestos. But I think they overstepped it when they went, not the best asbestos.
Yeah, it was very silly. Yeah, I had that. This is that cookbook joke again.
Yeah, definitely. Fuck, I can't even remember the Green Mile character's name.
John Coffey.
Oh, of course, John Coffey. Like the drink. Only spelled different. Anyway, so the John Coffey stand-in played by Kevin Michael Richardson, I thought he did a good job, and I liked how he put Mr. Burns around his neck like a scarf.
Yeah. That fucking break a leg.
Yeah, that was
Joke.
bad.
Didn't
Wacky
need that.
and
Hands him
gross.
a hammer and he breaks his own leg. It's that was an expression, man. It's then why'd you hand him the hammer?
You know, I kind of wish in this scene as well that because the employees got handed their scripts and were given 20 minutes or whatever to prepare, I kind of wish it wasn't so coordinated.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Mr. Burns was angry at them for not putting on a good show.
Yeah.
Yep, that would have worked.
It would have got us to the same point.
Also,
Yeah.
why is the exit to the prison so badly guarded? It's just he's standing in front of a door and there's just a field. I'm who the fuck designed this prison?
People who are not good at designing prisons.
Same person that designed the rickshaw that Lou takes Mr. Burns away on.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of liked this, though,
Yeah,
the
he's
wooden cage.
In an old-timey cage, they can throw fruit at him, yeah.
Yeah, and it led to the good joke with Mo when, rotten fruit, fresh tomatoes, $1, rotten tomatoes, $2.
Do you really need the rotten one? I mean, you're not even going to hit him. And it's just Millhouse looking so please, Father.
Okay, because it's your birthday.
Yeah.
I could appreciate if someone didn't like this joke because it does roll out a bit long, but I did like that. I kind of wish we saw Millhouse also throw and miss, but not have it called attention to sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. They throw and then they cut to Mr. Burns. You see one just...
Yeah. But yeah, that also led to the joke about Marge and Homer and the fucking pumpkin.
And it just went, oh.
And even Mr. Burns called attention to it. This went on for some time.
Yeah.
And then it continues to go on for even more time. It was like that montage earlier tonight that was broken up by the tiki birds. Oh my God, it's been a long time since we did that episode.
We were on the other side of the wasteland when we saw that episode. Keep up, man.
We're so close to the oasis.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to take us back there? You monster.
So how about the heart of this episode? Did you guys feel any bumps?
And there's a bit of push from the Bart Lisa thing. I think it just didn't feel solid enough to really land.
Yeah.
The idea was there, and I appreciate that much, but it just didn't have any weight.
The setup wasn't right to kind of make us care enough.
I wish it was Bart sort of just being stuck at home. He doesn't even need Marge to set it up and just saying, oh, Lisa, what you got there? I don't know, just him showing an interest maybe because he wants to just fuck with the ants. Like, oh, what happens if we give them Buzz Cola or something?
Yeah, that would have made more sense than a Pop-Tart because they would have loved a Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
Because they kind of set it up right. I liked that line of, Mum, you don't play with Lisa, you play despite her.
Yeah.
And then, like, fair enough. And then for her line of, look, we might need each other for organs later in life, so I think we should keep the lines of communication open. And yeah, it was a nice start to it, but then, they kind of shat the bed.
Well, yeah, because Bart's turn on liking the ant farm is unearned.
Yeah.
Like, I can get it from the angle that he sees Lisa's sadness and then he feels empathy for her, but they didn't do that right. They kind of go for it, but yeah, they half-ass it.
Also because, like, they show initially that he's completely uninterested in the ants.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what, you plant the ants and they grow? Or it's like, no, they're the farmers.
Well, what do they grow?
Yeah, I kind of like this joke, actually.
Yeah, no, me too.
So how about the heart in the rest of the story? I think we went over the Waylon Smithers bit. It's not much of the episode anyway.
Yeah, I could have sympathized a lot more with him as an employer myself.
Yeah.
If I ever find out someone's lying about a sick day, oh my God, is there going to be fury? I like the idea of him taking over the plant, actually doing a good job and being more of a human about it. And the idea that he kind of earns the meanness of it.
You can't be a kind of a good boss and also be friends with your employees at the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
But it just took a shortcut to get there, and I think it should have taken the long way around.
Yep. How about Mr. Burns and the John Coffey stand-in? What'd you think of the heart moments for that?
I didn't really think much of
Yeah,
it.
the switch into the supernatural I didn't need. Mistaking Charles Manson for Jesus was weird as well.
Oh, God.
Well, yeah, because they were saying he can't read, so it wasn't the words of the book, it was the image of Jesus that stuck with him.
So my question then is, why did he have the title covered with his hand? It's clearly Charles Manson on the cover, and then he removes his hand to reveal that it's Helter Skelter. Like, yeah, we know that already. We saw Charles Manson on the fucking cover. Like, why did you do that?
Yeah, this is just one of those jokes where you didn't get it? Here's more information.
Yeah.
It's there if you know the reference.
But the thing is, if you didn't know that was Charles Manson,
Helter Skelter is not going to help
that's not going to give you any extra info. Like,
that is such a good point.
Is is it George Harrison, maybe? I
did like the Burnsian line, though, where he's trying to convert him to Christianity. He's like, oh, I died once and came back. It's overrated.
I actually missed that. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, guys, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Yeah, I'm going to say so. I don't think anyone's out of character or... Again, they're maybe not properly motivated, but not too far from it, so yeah.
Yeah, it's more the fault of the show than the characters themselves.
Yeah.
I think it's HD Wasteland because, like, they don't mention that, like, there's going to be repercussions. They broke a man out of jail, and it's going to be pretty easy to find, and he's not just suddenly absolved of all his crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, no, it's okay, it reset to zero. Like, no. He's totally going to go to jail for even longer for breaking out in the first place.
So is everyone who broke you out.
Heart
feel.
Yeah, kind of. When Homer's really happy, Bart says, oh, all the ants, like, you killed the ants.
Oh, this was such a good joke that they immediately fucking ruined.
Yeah.
Pretty well immediately. With everything after Homer goes, oh, you killed the ants. Everything after that sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the thing he goes, good, hags.
Bucket.
Oh,
yeah.
goddamn.
Fucking terrible. Yes or no, would you watch it again?
Yeah, I reckon maybe.
Comfy hangover, maybe?
Comfy hangover, maybe.
Maybe a comfy hangover.
We've all been sucking the H, haven't we?
Yeah. You'll never take it away from me.
Yeah, so the warden getting high on helium. What do you guys think of that?
Dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I get where they were going, he's high, but also...
Oh, and then in one of the scenes, he's, like, floating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll kill you, dude.
No, that'll kill you. I do kind of like the lead-in was like, I've got dirt on everyone, has a card, and it's like, you're addicted to, I can't read my own writing.
Yeah.
Ham, it's clearly longer
It
than that.
starts with H.
Yeah, it dragged on too much, which is a shame because I do like the idea that he's got dirt on everyone but has written it down poorly.
Yeah.
As someone who writes things down poorly, I can relate.
Yep. So, have I asked if this belongs in the Wasteland?
No, but yes.
Does this belong in the Wasteland?
Yes.
It could almost get out. That's kind of my thing on it. I think if you tweaked a couple of things, it could belong in civilized society.
It's not irredeemable.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the last one we watched, there's no say that is a lost soul.
No,
Yeah.
we kick that in the pit. Fuck that. It doesn't belong in the Wasteland. It belongs to someone worse.
Yeah.
All
Put
right?
it in the Sarlacc pit or the pit of
Yeah.
scorpions in the Wasteland.
Definitely. So, BT, what would you change about this episode?
You know what? Just scrap the Bart Lisa thing. Have the B story be Smithers running the plant. That, I think, would fix so many things because it was just such an empty plot line for them. And I really am kind of curious to what I think we've hit on how extending it just a little bit in terms of having all the employees betray Smithers' kind of heart, Mr. Burns, and him turning into Mr. Burns would have been way more interesting. And that was a plot thread I was really interested to see play out. It just didn't get the time it needed to do that.
Yep. Jordan?
I would have liked, similar to that, get to see the plant just start running really well.
Yeah.
And then Burns comes back and the conflict of, we really preferred it under, Mr. Smithers. And he doesn't necessarily need to turn into Burns in that scenario. He says that, in fact, when he sits at Burns' desk for the first time, I can finally be the boss I would always want to work for.
Holy fuck, that is so funny when he puts the vase down and sets off the trap door on
like,
himself.
Oh, God damn it. And then
I
he
got a good
falls.
laugh on that.
Yeah,
It was so good.
That's what I would change. I would make it the conflict between maybe Smithers is actually better at this than Mr. Burns, but, he's still conflicted with because he's still very loyal to Mr. Burns.
I think it would not even need to be the conflict. He would just give up his power immediately as soon as Mr. Burns came back.
Yeah, and the employees are kind of like, oh, we have to go back to normal. This sucks. And then maybe there's a bit of compromise with Mr. Burns learning something from the way Smithers handles things.
Sure. I think there's something about Smithers intrinsically as a person. He is just subservient. And I think there is actually something to mine from him being a people pleaser. I actually think there's a storyline you can go down where he is making such an effort to appeal to and be a friend to the employees, like knowing that Mr. Burns can be a bit cold and gruff and whatever, but he is working overtime to please people that he ends up doing a good majority of the work. And that's kind of my problem with the Smithers story being so focused in the bar and the turn of that story being in the bar.
Yeah.
It all should have taken place in the nuclear plant.
Yeah.
And I think him discovering through found security tapes and whatever that's how he finds out that people are disrespecting him makes way more sense to the story than it taking place in just one turn in the bar.
Yeah. You said people pleaser before, and in my head, all I've been doing is one winged, one horn, flying purple people pleaser.
Pigeon toad, undergrowth, flying purple people pleaser.
Only in the Wasteland. Will we still be funny tomorrow?
No.
Any musical moments that stood out to you guys?
That weird Burns jailhouse rock blues thing at the end.
That was shit.
Yeah, I didn't...
Well, when Burns is first in prison, they play some kind of blues song, and it really should have been the opera from Shawshank. That would have been a better tie-in, and it would have felt more thematic to Burns.
It was Prison Bound Blues performed by John Lee Hooker.
Hey, I thought it sounded like him.
Jordan, any other notes?
Yes, Scared Old Man, 500-piece jigsaw puzzle. I thought they would just wanted to play with their animation. I think they just had a thing like on After Effects where it's like, oh, you can take this into a jigsaw and then it'll all fall apart.
Felt like that.
Yeah, I just wrote Find My Doctor joke.
I've got
spare ribs.
Spare ribs, yeah.
No, I've played a couple of games of bowling before, and I know that spare ribs is a way of saying second best. Find me strike ribs, and you find my doctor and find out why I wanted strike ribs. It was dumb.
God, stupid. The grossest line. I'm glad you're not my mother. If I was in your tummy, I'd poo in your throat.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I was about to ask you what my note about poo throat was.
Yeah.
That.
Lucky.
And yeah, Lisa going, I can't get that image out of my head.
Yeah, neither can I.
Nah.
Kind of wacky, but I think when he first moves into Burns' office and he sits down and he looks at that giant portrait of Mr. Burns like chewing flesh or something, he goes, well.
No, I forget who it is. It's a famous painting. I think it's Saturn devouring his children.
Oh, could be.
Let us know, EBEJ.
Yeah.
Fuck that, I'm looking it up.
Future Elliot is being outshone by Now Beach.
Ha now beach.
Yeah.
I like that Smithers is like, oh, the medical plan will now include illness.
Yeah, I like that. And I liked his line, the suggestion box won't be a hand guillotine.
Yeah.
I think they might have overstepped it with a hook hand guy clapping his hooks.
Both of his hands
But
as well.
also, we spent a significant amount of time before watching Smash Brothers clapping video.
Yeah, so that was fine.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of that, so I liked it.
Yeah, it's Saturn devouring his son, painted by Francisco Goya.
Okay, cool.
Oh.
That's a riff on that. It's a disturbingly dark but great painting.
Yeah, but still the light of that was a weird Christmas party is so great.
Yeah.
And also really strange, like Sideshow Bob is in this episode.
Yeah, how
in
Snake
the-
puts him in the laundry.
Yeah, and also there's a washing machine that's got like blood leaking out of it to the right.
Oh, fuck.
Yep. And then he gets put into the thing with a dryer sheet.
Yeah.
So your bobs come out nice and soft.
BT, do you have any other notes?
Only one. Grandpa needs to get the fuck out of the wasteland. He has not been funny in a single episode this entire trip.
Oh, that's such a good point. What was this one? It was like the weird fantasy sequence.
I can't even remember. I was remember thinking,
Oh, it's the cage, isn't it?
Oh yeah. He says, I'm free in my dreams, and then it's like,
No,
you're
you're not, you idiot.
Yeah.
yeah, just, I don't know why, but he just doesn't gel with the wasteland.
Yeah, it's interesting. Grandpa hasn't been an actual plot point in any of the episodes we've watched tonight,
No.
but they keep going to him for these asides, and yeah, none of them have
Surprisingly
worked.
large amount, and it's just never gelled.
Yeah. All right, time for the final notes of the final Wasteland episode. Final.
Last ever.
Oh, in the original pan of the prison, I liked the joke about the prisoner weightlifting the other prisoner,
Mm-hmm.
but then I really didn't like the guy who set his bed on fire and then slept under it.
I was okay with that.
You know what I didn't like about it is that they show him looking maniacal and then wait until they all pass him and then show what he's going to do. Like, you could have just quickly
held
done
it
that.
too long, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would have been better if they set up that a bunch of the other prisoners in the pan were cold.
Mm.
He's like, and then sets his bed on fire and then climbs in. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know how, yeah.
I feel like tired me right now could still write a better episode than Matt Selman did tonight.
Take that, Matt Selman.
Not going to it, stab back. I
Oh, yeah. We can't turn back now. We've already exchanged, like, knowing glances.
Well, it's not confirmed until you have a whispered huddle.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Okay.
yeah, again.
Not the
there's-
worst, but...
Yeah, like, I've said it a couple of times, but yeah, so many problems that I have with the Wayland story can be solved with, cutting the Bart and Lisa story to give more time to it, and also making more nuclear plant employees involved rather than just Homer, Carl, and Lenny, because it's not a small business. They're not the only 3 fucking employees. And there could have been a lot more to be mined from, like, maybe even like a game of telephone, like, hey, Old Man Smithers is kind of easy on this. You can get away with this. And then sort of passing it through and then, having the whole plant descend into chaos because...
Or just everyone is just not there one day. And
Yeah.
this is like, hello.
Yeah, it's like you gave everyone individually the day off.
Yeah. That's what kind of bothered me about, sorry, going back to one of the previous episodes, why are they the 3 that gets to go to the convention? Surely that's a pretty cushy gig. Everyone would want that, right?
Yeah. I didn't mind how Burns has the turn where joins the prison choir and the prison Beatles cover band and he makes the Zen Garden, but then the Zen Garden joke was dumb because he made a $sign then, but that's not what you'd do if you were trying to show Mr. Burns had changed.
Maybe they're suggesting he hasn't really changed. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. We didn't...
Well, yeah, and
Florida.
the, like, and I can bloody well quickly turn back, where he goes, oh, I still had some evil in my toes that multiplied, and I'm big as bastard than ever. Like, up until that point, you were still a born-again person. You were resisting Homer and Lenny Carl taking you away.
Yeah.
How are we meant to believe that this evil multiplied and, oh, I'm a big bastard? Like, no. It's
Evil multiplies pretty quickly.
way too
It
convenient.
really likes to fuck.
Evil fucks. And my final note, and I don't know what it means, SUV chicken pill?
Yeah, right at the end
Yeah.
where Burns like, well, we'll conclude this in a minute, but first I need to think about a brand new SUV and something about chicken and also little blue pills.
Yeah. Because
It
he was
was
talking
like
about, like,
the ad break.
the ad break.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I got a little chuckle out of that.
Guys, we're done for tonight, but there's 2 more things we have to do.
Yes.
Let's rank this thing!
What's the second thing?
BT, kick it off.
I came in on a bronze. I feel like I'm a little down from that, but am I all the way down? Because I got a couple of chuckles I got some decent chuckles out of this one. I do like a lot of the plot. It just doesn't quite handle itself as well as it should. However, I feel like this is one of the better ones we've seen tonight. Then again, we failed a lot tonight.
Yeah, it was actually interesting. My first intention with the Teenage Wasteland was to bring you guys all fails, and most of them ended up being participants.
Yeah.
And then this one going, okay, well, the Wasteland is a bland landscape, isn't it? And yeah, I ended up bringing half fails.
Yeah. I'm going to follow my initial guts, which is sitting on a bronze. It's a low bronze, and I could move down from it. Maybe I'm a delirious, but I had a good enough time with this one that, wasn't bad. Few tweaks, it might have even worked its way up to a silver, but I think it's sitting about a low bronze.
Yep. Jordan?
I don't think I can go that high. I think it's participant. I really didn't like the Green Mile parody parts of it, like why try and convert him to Christianity. The reason why you're trying to convert him to Christianity, you murdered a bunch of white guys, right? White rich guys. Very tenuous. The Bart and Lisa storyline, didn't give a shit about. Yeah. I just,
I'm on the same page, George. While there's a lot I liked about this episode, I think its failings really do sort of
bog it down.
Yeah. It's really a balancing participant for me.
Yeah.
It's not extremes either.
Yeah.
Like there are some where I'm like bronze jokes, failure story, or vice versa. This one, it's just moments of just like this waveform that is just circling around participant for me.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
So all around, that'll equal a shiny participant, and this will be joining other such episodes as regarding Margie, which we did in the last Wasteland, where Marge gets amnesia.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot the word for amnesia for a moment.
Haha, meta.
Yep. Also, Marge Gamer, where she gets addicted to World of Warcraft. Bob Next Door, where Sideshow Bobs does the face-off thing.
Yep.
Scorpion's Tail, which I was the bronze in that participant soup. Homer versus Dignity, where Panda Love.
Yeah, that's
we call
still
him
a weird
panda
one.
lover.
That's still such a weird one for being like silver until the halfway point, then fail after that. It's so weird.
One that just tanks. And for one last time tonight, guys, is that reputation justified? All right, Todd Vanderwerf of the AV Club.
Well, what is Vanderworth worth? Fuck. God.
Better than that Smithy O. Smichael the Third or whatever
Oh,
one you
yeah,
did.
Swinton.
Yeah,
Swinton O. Scott.
McFiddlefaddle the Third.
Famous Simpsons director.
Yep.
Todd Vanderwerf of the AV Club gave this a B. So that's like a bronze, maybe edging on silver for their scale. I like Mr. Burns as a character enough, and I like the way the show tells stories about him enough to give this a mildly approving grade. Bart and Lisa's story was just plain stupid.
That feels like exactly how I felt.
But that first sentence, I like Mr. Burns, and I like the way this show tells stories. It has nothing to do with this episode, though.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm taking a real reduction of their reviews. Like,
Still.
So, check out the review. I think one of the good things about what we do and what other podcasts do is just, having the discourse. I think what's important is coming at this from a few different perspectives and trying to work it out.
I think it's lovely that you call our inane ramblings discourse. I think that's very complimentary, so thank you.
Who are you calling a name?
Me, mostly.
And finishing off, we've got a second opinion from Robert the Feather Touch Canning of IGN.
Wait, okay, shall we guess?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, it's out of 10?
Yep.
Out of 10.
8.2.
14.
Jordan was the closest. He gave it a 6.9 out of 10.
Wow, that's the sex number.
I thought it was weed. He says, American History Excellent failed to deliver a would-be classic Mr. Burns episode. Evil Mr. Burns is always more fun than kind-hearted Mr. Burns, and a new and original ideas are always better than tired Shawshank references.
Wrong. X-Files episode is still good when he's like, peace and love, Mr. Burns. Suck on it, Rob.
Good morning, starshine.
Guys, says hello.
We did it.
We made it through the wasteland.
And it's not 4 a.m. Well done, us.
Yes. Yep. And I may be in a bathrobe cuddling my Binding of Isaac little knit toy for comfort, but I'm sane, I tell you, I'm sane.
How would you know? Insane people don't know they're insane.
But he told me I was. Isn't that right, Isaac? Crying means yes. Oh, God.
Look, guys, thank you very much for doing the Wasteland. This isn't the most pleasant experience, but boy, lordy, does it make a good podcast at the end of it. Thank you once again for joining us. We'll be returning to our regular format next week. And yeah, that's been us through the Wasteland. Fuck, I am so tired right now. That's been BT Calloway.
I think this makes me like a Simpsons sadist.
Yeah.
It really does. And that's been Jordan Frost.
Insane in the membrane.
That's all the mustard in the Wasteland.
Oh no!
HD Wasteland.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. Chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at Simpsons Index on Twitter. Please stay tuned for the bonus scenes.
HD Wasteland.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast. You can talk to us on I'm going to shut up.
At Simpsons Index on Facebook. Wait, or this Simpsons Index.
I should do it like full prospector.
Can you do the whistling through your teeth voice?
Not well enough, unfortunately. Whistling Pete.
Yeah. You
Thank
really
you for
are.
listening to the Simpsons Index podcast.
You really are a stinky beach, aren't you? So cruel. Why?
Goodbye, everybody.
Well, now, you all hear a story about 3 friends who went into the Simpsons Wasteland? Yeah, they all started out sane, but as time went on and all they had to eat was turtles and dust, they kind of lost their minds a little bit.
Not much hydrating in dust now.
No, not much hydration. No, only a little bit of booze around to keep their sanity. And what happened to those 3 men? Well, I'm 2 of them.
Oh, God, you just remember me of that joke where it's like 2 cows in the 90s in England. One turns to the other to be like, you worried about this like mad cow disease? And he goes, no, not really, I'm a squirrel.
There's a place where we go. It's called the Wasteland. It's something we have to do. But I feel like poo. And this chord progression makes no sense. I'm just making up the chords as I go along. How about an E flat here? Ooh, wasn't that weird? Followed by a natural C and G sharp.
Why'd they waste hairs to? Why'd they want hairs to? What the fuck? Anyway.
Why did they want hairs to?
I don't know.
God, I'm mad. I'm getting the Wasteland madness.
Let's do the Scooby-Doo ending.
Wait a minute. Pull off this mask. You are not BT.
That's right. It's me, Bloody Skull.
Please put it back.
Anyways.
Was there still text speak in 2012? Like, you know when he's getting all the hate messages and it's like, I-H-8-U, C...
I think so.
I'm like, I don't know. 2012, really?
Well, all I know is my mum does it now.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. She's, yeah.
Yeah, mine too.
10 years
It's
in the
really
past.
Weird.
It's really weird to have the woman who yelled at me for spelling for like years writing in text speak. Yeah, it's like the other day I realized the reason we call him Tommy Lee Jones is that if you removed it, he'd be Tom Jones.
Old Tommy Jones.
Yeah, I was kind of, what? Surely Tommy, that's kind of a weird name for a grown man to have. Why not just Tom Jones? Oh, wait.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a very common name. It's definitely not unusual.
And if you went
Yeah.
by... Get the fuck out. Also, if you went by Tommy Lee, you'd be thinking, wait, is he a famous dickhead?
Yeah. We made it to the 6th stop
Yeah.
in the Wasteland, where we took some rest. And it was in our rest we had a dream. And in that dream, we went to another dream. And in that dream, it was another dream. Yeah.
But then we went into my dream, and from that dream, we went to a third dream.
And little did we know the whole time we were being produced by Christopher Nolan.
And after that dream, we went to the dream where everybody was cowboys. That was a fun dream.
I got to be the sheriff.
And I was Whistling Peaks Dixie, the prospector. I think there's gold in them there hills. Gold!
Poor Pete. There was no gold in the Wasteland.
It had all been
That's where the
sucked out.
Herzog here.
The only people to survive the apocalypse is Werner Herzog and his impersonators.
It's Werner Herzog playing David Carradine because he's dead now.
And so began the legend of the exploding palm technique by Pai Mei wiping out the... I fucked it up entirely.
Wiping up the pie that he exploded in the oven.
It's going to be... As Pai Mei was walking, he passed a Shaolin monk and gave the Shaolin monk the slightest of nods. The nod was not returned.
The monk was like, the fuck, bro? You dissing me?
And Pai Mei was like, yeah, I am. What you gonna do about it? Yo mama?